as well. So we're going to see who comes in, and if anybody comes in for this particular edition of the online dinner party, we are going to have our mystery guests making their appearance, as they oftentimes do. So glad to have the mystery guests here in the house doing their thing and letting things go as well. So definitely things will be going on in that regard. So definitely hoping that they will be making an appearance, and we'll see what they've got on their mind. And of course, we'll give you clues about our three mystery guests. It is Women's History Month, so you know that the mystery guests on this particular month will definitely be women that we'll be talking to as far as our mystery guests. So definitely you can look for the mystery guests to be ladies of history, and that'll be all during the course of the month of March. So I've got three of them that I'll be introducing you to during the course of this particular show. So keep that in mind, that our mystery guests will be folks that are of the female gender. So definitely look forward to that. We'll be seeing some great mystery guests in our amazing women that are in our lives and that have been in the lives of history. And there have been some truly great ones. And as a matter of fact, we'll see some of their quotes as well. And I think that you'll be truly impressed with some of the things that they had to say about life and about just general consequences and things that they have went through. So definitely looking forward to having a great conversation with a number of folks in that regard. So just keep that in mind, that we will have during the month of March. So that means on the today's date, the 3rd, as well as the 10th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 20th. Let's see, does March have 31 days? I'm always horrible with my months and how many days they've got. I think we've got about 4 or 5 editions of this show that will have women guests appearing as our mystery guests. Now, whether the regular guests will be ladies or gentlemen, only time will tell, but we will have some truly amazing guests here on our show and with our conversations that go on, as we oftentimes do. But right now, I want to give y'all a little taste of music. You know, I love having some music at the online dinner party as well. So I think I'm going to give y'all a taste of some great sounds and everything. And I'm in the mood right now for some good old-fashioned Southern soul. So I think we're going to hear from Miss Jody, and I might even give you some taste of none other than Paula and some of her songs and everything. But right now, I think we're going to go with some Miss Jody and some of the songs that she's got, in order of us having some mystery guest kind of sounds. And definitely, you know, a lot of times those haters are going to be doing that hating. So let's see what she's got to say about haters going to be hating. And then I'll come back with some more exciting news and all of that, because we do know that those haters will be hating, and that's what we got to deal with. So I'm going to give you a taste of haters going to be hating, and I think that y'all will enjoy this particular song. And then we'll be back with more knowledge and more things going on in our society and all of that. But right now, let's check out Haters Gonna Be Hating, and then we'll be back with our mystery guest as well. So if y'all will hold on, we're gonna bring you up some music from none other than Miss Jody, and then we'll be back with some other music as well. So just keep that in mind, that we're gonna have some music from none other than Miss Jody. And like I said, the title of this particular song is Haters Gonna Be Hating. So keep that in mind. We got those haters, and we're going to see what kind of hating they're going to be doing and all of that. So that being said, let's give you Haters Gonna Be Hating.
You know, in this life, there are always going to be haters out there. I know there's somebody out there that's hating on you. There's somebody out there that's hating on me too. Haters gonna be hating. Somebody out there, y'all, is hating on you. Haters gonna be hating. And I know somebody is hating on you. Now some people be hating and don't even know your name. How much they hate on you is the damn shame. Some don't like the car you drive or the house you're living in. Some be hating on your jobs, might be your closest friend. In this world, there's one thing I know. You're gonna find true haters everywhere you go. Haters gonna gonna be hating. Somebody out there is hating on you. Haters are gonna be hating. Oh, and I know somebody is hating on you. No matter who you are or what you do, I know there's some haters out there that's hating on you. Now you can live uptown or down in the hood. There's still gonna be some haters that don't mean you no good. Now it's so true. Listen to what I say. You can't dodge those haters no matter where you stay. I said haters, they're gonna be hating you. Somebody out there is hating on you. I said haters are gonna be hating. Yes, they are. Somebody out there I know that's hating on me too. Now all this hating, it ought to be a crime. It don't make no sense, but I see it all the time. It's been going on forever, and it always will be. They'll be hating on you, and they'll be hating on me. Now don't be surprised when a hater start hating on you, cause that's just what they are, and that's just what they do. I said a hater gonna be hating, are gonna be hating, y'all. Somebody out there is hating on you. I said haters gonna be hating, they're gonna be hating, I know they are. Somebody out there is hating on me too. Haters gonna be hating, they'll always be out there, y'all. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Hating on you, no matter how hard you try. Haters, you see, you'll be surprised. Find out just the reason why. Some haters out there are hating on you, hating on you. Haters, might be in the White House, might be in your house, but the haters are gonna always be hating on you. Haters, they can be a woman, or it can be a man. It might even be your dog hating on you. Oh, haters gonna be hating, y'all. Somebody out there is hating on you, hating on you. Haters are gonna be hating. Listen to what I'm saying, y'all, cause they hating on me too. Oh, haters, they're gonna be hating, yeah, yeah. Somebody out there is hating on you. Oh, haters, they're gonna be hating. And you'll be surprised, yes you will, to find out who's hating on you. Oh, haters, they're gonna be hating. Somebody out there is hating on you.
There's a huge government scandal going on that I need your help with. I'm also
Yep, that was a little bit of those haters and what they've got going on. You know, those haters, they love to do what they're going to do and all of that. But we're going to keep this music rolling for a little bit longer because I'm just feeling like in a musical mode. But we will be back talking about some news and other things that are going on. And of course, I do have those mystery guests for you as well. But definitely, I know a lot of folks are probably in a good mood for some good old fashioned music as well. So we're going to just going to keep things rolling along with some great sounds, and hopefully y'all will enjoy these sounds. And then, like I said, we'll be back very shortly with some more amazing news going on in the world and letting folks know what's happening in that regards as well. 'Cause I know a lot of you folks are probably in the need for some good sounds, as we've just had a rough year. As a matter of fact, I think the pandemic is coming up on a year anniversary and everything of that nature here in the United States. So definitely a lot of folks have been feeling a certain kind of way about life in general and see the ways that things are going, even though we do understand the stimulus money is on the way and a number of other positive things are happening as well. So we're going to see how things are going and what folks have got to say about that also. So definitely, like I said, a number of folks are thinking about a lot of the issues of the world, including some of the folks that might be coming into the administrations and whether they're going to get their jobs or not. And of course, folks are still paying attention to both the local house here in North Carolina as well as the national house with a number of other things that are going on in terms of politics and all of that. And I'll be definitely coming back with some of those, talking about what some of those things could be or not being in those regards. But definitely we want to have folks have some positive thoughts. So right now we're just going to continue with some more music from Miss Jody. This time we're going to hear the song entitled I Did It. So definitely we're going to have seeing what she did and how she did it and all of that. So we're going to let y'all check out a little bit of Miss Jody and I Did It. So definitely just keep that in mind as we just move along and see how things are progressing and whether any of our guests that we invited decided to show up or not show up. But we're just going to play it along and see how things progress in this regard. So let's check out Miss Jody with I Did It.
Ain't no sense in going home. Jody's got your love and go. Ain't no sense in going home. Jody's got your love and go. I did it, and I'll do it again. Hey, I did it, y'all, and I'll do it again. Said I did it, y'all, and I'll do it again. Now what people fail to understand, Jody can be a woman or man. So do your work and do it right. And Jody won't get you love tonight. I said, just again, y'all, and I'll say it again. Did I say it, y'all? And I'll say it again.
Tell him, Jody.
Did I say it, y'all? Yeah, yeah, and I say it again. A little Jack Horner sat alone in a corner. He wanted himself some cherry pie. And I spread myself over to him. He said, oh, Miss Jody, how lucky am I? Then I took him by the hand. He felt like he was in the promised land. I did it, yes I did, y'all, and I'll do it again. Yes, and I did it, y'all, and I'll do it again. Yeah, I did it, y'all. Hey, hey, and I'll do it again. Woo! Now little Bo Peep lost his sheep, and I went out to help him find them. I told him, leave them alone and I'll take you home. I'll help you to forget about them. I did it, y'all, and I'll do it again. Yes, and I did it, y'all, and I'll do it again. Yes, I will now. Yes, and I did it, y'all. Hey, hey, and I'll do it again. Ain't no sense in going home. Ain't no sense in going home. and I'll do it again. Hey, said I did it, yo. Yes, I did now, and I'll do it again.
Now, for those of you who wondered about some of the things happening in the world, of course, there are a number of things happening throughout our society and all of that. So definitely we'll be keeping you informed with a number of those things as we always do here on the online dinner party. As a matter of fact, says that one of the articles I'm reading is that folks are learning how to work in a new world. The prolonged periods of remote work that many employees have endured amid the pandemic upended the daily work life and has altered the way workers approach training and development. Staff once sought out training on specific software suites or skill sets to improve their performances. But globally today, resilience and digital fluency are constantly rated as the two most important skills needed in the pandemic era, according to new research from LinkedIn Learning. So definitely know a lot of folks are trying to do that whole pivot and trying to learn about a number of things and definitely trying to be as resilient as possible. So I can definitely relate to that. Definitely having done some remote work myself. As a matter of fact, I was doing some of that earlier today for one of the standardized companies that I have done work for and all of that. So definitely I know how that can be, the whole remote learning. And of course, we know that there are two film festivals, one that is winding down. I think it ends on tomorrow, being the Nevermore Film Festival, and another that's got 3 more days to go, that being the Hayti Heritage Festival, which are also very much digital right now. So you can go over there to Eventive and see what kind of films they have got going on and checking out the amazing films that they are showing as well. So that's definitely some things that are going on in our society and all of that. So keep that in mind. Keep it in mind that that is something that folks can check out. And a lot of folks are trying to find ways to stay engaged in a number of things that are going on in their community. And I know I'm trying to do that, even trying to stay engaged in following my alma mater and their basketball team. Even though they were not doing all that great, they did manage to beat a longtime rival, DePaul, and get a revenge match against an upset that DePaul gave them earlier this year. So, and that was on DePaul's senior night. So we owed them one and we gave them one back. So definitely was glad to see that happen. Even though it still has not improved our record to 500, we need to pull off an upset against Xavier in order for that to happen. And that would only get us to about 500 and all of that. So still got a long ways to go, a lot of fighting to go, and see if we can even make it to a tournament. NCAA is going to be very difficult. We'll probably have to win a whole lot of games in order to pull that one off. And even the NIT could be difficult as well. But, you know, got to keep that faith, got to keep believing. And that's what I'm going to do. Try to keep it going on that this can happen and that we can have this amazing comeback and all of that. By the way, I did see that a popular spot that a lot of folks have known for years in terms of some of their things in terms of entertainment, they have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, that being none other than the Alamo Drafthouse. That's right, they have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The cinema chain announced on Wednesday the move is part of a purchase agreement with previous investors, Altamont Capital Partners, and new investors, Fortress Investment Group. Like its larger rivals, Alamo Drafthouse has been hammered by the pandemic and the public's reluctance to return to movie theaters. The Texas-based chain has cultivated a strong following with its combination of hipster-friendly art house film programming, craft beer, and cocktails and gourmet food service. Still, many of its locations have been hobbled by local restrictions and its previous reliance on bespoke screening events. So definitely, it looks like they are definitely being hit, as are a number of other types of these types of franchises. Although 3 locations, one in Kansas City, 2 in Texas, including its iconic downtown Austin location, will close for now. The chain's 40 other sites will continue trading as regulations permit. So it does look like there will still be some, but some of the iconic ones will be closing down shop and all of that. So definitely that's some of the news that is going on in our world and all of that. So we're going to see what other news we can find out about and all of that. It looks like we've also got some things happening where there are certain U.S. cities that are faring their worst. Nowhere in the U.S. has been less unscathed by the pandemic, though there are a handful of cities where residents appear to be worse off than the rest of the country, according to Bloomberg and Census Bureau data. Life under COVID-19 is the hardest in Houston, Los Angeles, and Detroit. The findings are based on surveying households in the following areas: employment, cost of living on a daily basis, food and housing security. Who's faring the best? Cities like Seattle, Boston, and San Francisco, where the majority of the workforce is able to work from home. Over the past 7 days, LA County has seen an average of 1,631.7 new cases per day, or a 43.1 decrease from 2 weeks ago. So looks like they are definitely having a decrease in their numbers over there in LA and all of that. But there's still some high numbers and all of that. So definitely seeing how that's playing out and everything. One gentleman in this particular article chain was saying that the Southeast U.S., which we're based at, seems to be faring relatively well through the pandemic, perhaps because they were looser with lockdowns altogether. Two good resources. So there's some other resources that are supplementing some of these things that are going on as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out and how we try to go as we still try to continue to get this herd immunity that a lot of folks are trying to get as well. I know a number of folks are still trying to get their vaccines. I've had a number of family members that have already gotten theirs and are still trying to get their, in some cases, their second shots. I think in some cases they've already got their second shot as well. So definitely trying to stay healthy. I know a lot of folks are also trying to stay busy with other things that they can do in order to stay healthy, but also financially solvent. Because I do know some friends of mine that are still doing the gig type jobs, whether that's the delivery services like Grubhub or DoorDash, or whether that's some of the driving services like Uber and a number of other ones as well. So definitely just keep that in mind that we do have a number of folks that are trying to do interesting and innovative things in their ways of surviving as we are still in the middle of the pandemic, but at least things are, for right now, seeming to be at least improving. And let's hope that they continue to do that for several more days and several more weeks as we continue to try to get the herd immunity and try to get slowly but surely out of this situation that we've been in for almost a year. By the way, 6 Dr. Seuss books, on a lighter note, have been scrapped. 6 Dr. Seuss books will no longer be published due to racist and insensitive imagery. The company founded by Dr. Seuss family has announced the books include And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, If I Ran the Zoo, McElligot's Pool, On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Eggs Supper, and The Cat's Quizzer. The popular children's series has been lauded as a model for teaching values such as environmentalism and tolerance, earning an estimated $33 million before taxes in 2020, but also faced criticism over the way Black or African American, Asian, and other groups are drawn in some of the books. Cease and sales of these books is only part of our commitment and our broader plan to ensure Dr. Seuss Enterprises catalog represents and supports all communities and families, the company said. So definitely looks like they have run across some issues with some of the things that they are dealing with and all of that. I know that some of the folks that have been talking about cancel culture will probably be using this as an example as well. So somebody was actually responding in that way. Because, matter of fact, one gentleman was saying that his feed had been on fire about this story, and it had mostly been reactions to the news reporting instead of an analysis of the facts. As a matter of fact, Adam Giller was saying that that Dr. Seuss is not being canceled by anyone. Maybe this is an opportunity to unpack a lower stakes fake news event with someone you know with what really happened. The publishers of the book, Dr. Seuss Enterprises LP, announced the decision to stop printing 6 specific books from within the broader Dr. Seuss catalog of dozens of books. They announced this on March 2nd because that day is Dr. Seuss's birthday. Check out their official statement. It's also Read Across America Day a day founded by the National Education Association to honor the legacy of Dr. Seuss. So, what this means for now out of print books, this can be referenced as examples of how behavior and speech we once considered acceptable can, in fact, be hurtful and harmful. So, definitely looks like folks are going to be looking at the cancel culture kind of things that are going on in our world. I know me and Zach were talking about that on his show, Funk Music with Zach, and we may have some more conversations around that on upcoming editions. So it'll be interesting to see how things go in that regard. And while Texans no longer need to wear masks and businesses can reopen at 100% capacity, not everyone is throwing their doors open to welcome back patrons. It looks like there are several owners that say they will still be requiring their customers to wear masks and allowing employees to choose where they work. Those who are eager to reopen express concerns that consumers are still fearful and won't return even if they did allow 100% capacity. The move by Texas comes as a cluster of southern states hurtle towards what some leaders describe as a sense of normality. Companies such as General Motors, Toyota, Target, and Macy's say their employees in Texas will keep face masks on at work. The state of Mississippi also ended its mask mandate. South Carolina has removed any limits on the size of public large gatherings. So it does look like some states are definitely going to reopen it and all of that. As a matter of fact, Governor George Abbott over there in Texas announced that he ended the state's mask mandate and it was allowing all businesses outside counties with high hospitalizations to open at full capacity on March 10th. So that'll be a week from today. These include nail salons, restaurants, bars, movie theaters, and other businesses that have been on a roller coaster of opening and closing since the pandemic began sweeping through the country a year ago. Firms in the counties with hospitalizations can operate at 50% capacity. While masks are no longer a state mandate, businesses can still set their own requirement for patrons. What does the announcement mean for various businesses? Well, I think that different folks in Texas are trying to figure that out and everything. I know that me personally, I'm hoping that folks will still continue to wear the mask here in North Carolina for a while until we've actually got things a lot more in control than we even have them right now. I mean, there are still some numbers out there that are saying that there are still up there and all of that. So I'm not one that is totally comfortable with the states opening and all of that. It's been a while. I'm trying to think if I've ever been to Texas. I know I've got friends in Texas, but I'm trying to think if I myself have ever visited that fair state or not. And I can't think of a time that I have. I know I've been to Louisiana, been to Nevada, been to a couple of other places, but I do not ever remember going to Texas. So definitely don't know if I'm going to be trying to rush over there with them doing those kind of things as well. By the way, there's also an article about unpaid internships, which are up for debate. I know that a lot of times that's a way to get some experience and all of that, but a lot of times, you know, you still have to pay your bills and all of that. So I would actually think that the internships should get paid as well. So when the NFL Network reporter Jane Salter wrote a post on Monday seeking an unpaid intern to work with her, she inadvertently kicked off a significant debate about the ethics of unpaid internships. A wide range of personalities posted on LinkedIn that the days of working without payment at the beginning of your career are over. Many argue paid internships are an important piece of the equality debate, yet others countered that unpaid internships are an old fashioned yet meaningful way to earn your stripes and were the catalyst for many a career. I'm wondering what my listeners think about unpaid internships and just those kind of unpaid jobs and whether they would be open to being involved in those kind of jobs or not. So that's one of the things that I'm kind of curious to learn about, whether folks think that that is a good thing or a bad thing. So I have no idea what folks' thoughts might be on that kind of thought or not, but I would be curious to learn what folks' thoughts are in that regard. By the way, there's news from the world of Google as well. Google has said that it is doubled down on its consumer privacy goals and it won't develop alternative tracking technologies to use unique identified or identifiers or cookies on websites. The search giant and the world's biggest digital advertising company said last year it would stop using the identifiers that allow it to track individuals across sites in 2022. While Wednesday's announcement, or actually announcement earlier today, doesn't address mobile apps, it could start to shift rivals away from tracking more broadly, according to the Wall Street Journal. Regulators are concerned about the information websites share with advertisers about what content users are viewing. So definitely that's going to be some interesting things as well. And of course, the debate is still going on about the cost of a $15 minimum wage. I know a number of folks are definitely looking forward to that and everything, but in one article it said that gradually increasing the federal minimum wage from $7.25 per hour to $15 by 2025 would reduce employment by 1.4 million workers, but also bring 900,000 people out of poverty, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. President Biden has proposed raising the minimum wage to $15 over 4 years to help lowest paid workers climb out of poverty. The new CBO report estimates that increasing the minimum wage would also increase the federal budget deficit by $54 billion between 2021 and 2031 due to the higher prices for goods and services. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out and also what impact it has on small businesses and all of that. So definitely those are some of the articles and things that we have seen of interest. There was also an article about payroll growth, which apparently has slowed in February. Payroll growth slowed last month, according to the ADP Research Institute, with private companies adding 117,000 positions in February after a revised 195,000 during the prior month. Services led the hiring, which was also the strongest at medium-sized companies, while COVID-19 vaccinations are expected to fuel unemployment growth in the coming months. Business restrictions due to the pandemic have continued to weigh on the labor market. So it looks like things are definitely still being impacted in the economy and all of that. So definitely those are just some of the stories. I'm also seeing a story about how apparently Barbie has gotten her groove back on. So let's see what that's all about. And we'll tell you what they're saying about that. Well, Mattel's iconic Barbie brand is making headlines thanks to record sales and a successful repositioning that shifted her images from the like of a bimbo to a businesswoman. Sales dropped to in the early 2010s when Barbie became a symbol for regressive portrayals of women. But the brand has had a resurgence as Mattel attempted to make the doll more inclusive, introducing new skin tones, body shapes, professions, and more. Sales have surged amid the pandemic when parents were looking for off-screen activities for their kids. So definitely more people were getting out there and getting those dolls so they didn't always have to be doing things on screen, but could find things that they could do with their hands and things of that nature. So that's just some of the things that are going on in the world. I might be back with some more world issues as well, but we're just going to keep the online dinner party going. And of course, I will be coming back with your mystery guest very shortly. But in the meantime, I'm going to give you a little bit more of the great blues music that is out there and everything. And who knows, I might even come back with some jazz and some R&B later on. But right now, we're going to hear a little bit from what y'all know, one of my favorites, none other than Albert King. So we're going to have some Albert King music going on and all of that. So I think we'll give you Albert King, and I won't do I'll Play the Blues for You. Y'all are used to that one from me. I think I'll give you a different song from Albert King as well. So maybe we'll give you Albert King with Call My Job. That is a definitely classic Albert King song and everything. So I might give you that one and then maybe some other ones as well. But we're going to give you a taste of Albert King asking for folks to call that job of his. So let's check out what this is all about. And then we'll be back with more of the online dinner party very shortly and all of that. So definitely just keep things in mind as we keep things rolling along with some songs from Albert King and the song entitled Call My Job. So keep that in mind, and we'll be back with some more exciting conversation in a very near future.
Baby, cut that thing off. I hear it. Too. Ooh-wee. What is that you got on you smelling so good? I ain't going to work today, I know. Call my job. Tell the boss I won't be in. I said call my job and tell the boss I won't be in. Or you can tell him I'm sick, tell him anything. But I just had too much weekend. On Saturday I caught the horses, and today I got $1,000. I said Saturday I caught the horses, and today I got $1,000. Oh, you look so good to me this morning, darling. Girl, I ain't thinking about getting up. After Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I don't want to go to work on Monday. I said after Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you know I don't want to go to work on Monday. After that long weekend, darling, I don't want to do a thing but lay around with you. Take the phone off the hook, put a note on the door too. I don't want to do a thing but spend this time with you. Call my job and tell the boss I won't be in. 'Cause my head is in a spin, girl. I've had too much weekend. He said I'm fired. Oh no, you can't do that to me. Did you really take the phone off the hook? You can't take a joke. I never seen a woman like you before in all days of my life. Now what you gonna do about paying the bill? Yeah, I said the bill. Now you got the gas bill, the light bill, not counting the food bill. You got the electric bill, and you got the water bill. Look like you gonna have to get a job. And I don't want you coming in fussing, saying I'm pimping when I asked you how much the check is every weekend. Are you listening?
In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this ebook.
The thrill is gone. The thrill is gone away. Thrill is gone, baby. The thrill is gone away. Got me wrong, baby. You'll be sorry someday. Thrill is gone. The thrill is gone away from me. Thrill is gone, baby. The thrill is gone away from me. Although I'm still alone, but so lonely I'll be.
This is the canoe that a young couple will get gloriously lost in together. This is the checkers game where grand
I'm free now, baby. I'm free from your spell. Free now, baby. I'm free from your spell. Now that it's all over, all I can do is wish you well. I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank these three young men sitting down front with me. They treat me so good, I begin to feel special. I said, they treat me so well, I feel special. Thank you. Thank you. God dog, go ahead. Boy, you should have played that. They like the lady say, you play that thing.
All right, some more amazing music from some amazing blues artists. Y'all know I'm a big fan of the blues and definitely love the blues and all of that. Might even give y'all some more doses of the blues later on. But right now, going to see about whether any of the mystery guests will be coming in. Well, actually, the regular guests. I know I had invited a few people to the dinner party, but of course, we were real busy with a lot of things going on last week and all of that. As a matter of fact, some folks may be trying to figure out how they can get on a Shark Tank. And we've had some folks that have known how to do that, including Fran Harris. So I've definitely got a presentation by her. So I'm going to let y'all check a little bit about some tips that she gave on how to get on the Shark Tank if that's something that you're interested in doing. She's definitely been here on this platform a couple of times, both with the having an interview with us as well as being part of the Black Business Expo that has taken place twice. So definitely folks may have heard some of this presentation, but I thought I'd give y'all a dose of what she's all about, and maybe she can give you some motivational tips and all of that while I wait to see if some of my other guests might appear also. So let's bring on Miss Fran Harris.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this crazy good presentation on how to improve your chances to get on Shark Tank, the #1 business reality show on the planet. And I'm going to share with you how you can improve your chances of getting on this show. If you are a business owner, an entrepreneur, somebody with a great idea, you are in the right place. All right. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to jump right into the presentation. So let's see where we are. Yes, we are here. Excellent. All right. Going to need these glasses. The question becomes, do you have an invention, a product, a service, or app that you want to get out into the world? That is the question tonight. And if we jump right into this and we go, there are 3 things that every business needs to succeed and launch. You need a cash pumping concept or idea. You need craving customers, and you need consistent capital. All right. As I said, I am Fran Harris with the big question tonight is, are you ready to swim with the sharks? I am the founder of Electra, a better for you sports drink company, a better for you hydration beverage company that is about to change the game. So that's me inside the tank, swimming, in many cases, drowning with the sharks. Had a great time with them. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is not theory. It is not speculation. It is everything that I know from my 25 years in television, plus my experience of being a Shark Tank alum that I'm going to share with you to help you get on the show. All right, so let's jump in. On January 8th, 2021, I walked into Shark Tank. I walked out with the deal, and within 24 hours, I had over 400 orders. Let me repeat that. Walked into Shark Tank, walked out with the deal, and in less than 24 hours, Electra had 400 plus orders. And it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And so again, tonight is not about theory. It's not about speculation. It's not about what I think works. It is about exactly what I did to have me walking out of Shark Tank, walking out of those very doors just a little over a month ago. All right. So let me ask you this. Would $100,000 to $1 million change your business's life? Could it help you to start, grow, and scale your business? If the answer to that is yes, then you are definitely in the right place, right? So we're going to talk about today is how to apply, how to prepare, and how to improve your chances of landing on the #1 business show on the planet, and that is Shark Tank. But a lot of what I'm going to share with you tonight can be used for Top Chef, Housewives of Atlanta, Let's Make a Deal, whatever kinds of show. The principles are the same no matter what show you are attempting to get on. So let's jump in. So I created Electra out of a need. I created Electra, my sports drink company, my hydration beverage company, out of a need in the marketplace for healthier, better for you sports drinks. Now, here's the thing. A lot of times people will say, there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun. Why? There's nothing new under the sun. And to some degree, that's true. But to a greater degree, it's not true, because we see inventions and we see products coming onto the market every single year, right? Every single year we see something coming into the market and we're like, whoa, I wish I had thought of that. Well, it's the same thing with Electra. 50 years ago, Gatorade walked into the marketplace with a sports drink. It was not the first sports drink. There were people who were doing electrolyte drinks before then. Do your history, do your research. But Gatorade did something different. They put the science behind it. They put the marketing and the advertising behind it. And all of a sudden we had a new category, and we had a very exciting category. So it's the same thing with Electra. I had to figure out what's going to make Electra different, because the category hasn't been innovated in over 50 years, not seriously innovated in over 50 years. So when people say there's nothing new under the sun, I go, if there's nothing new under the sun, there's no way I could have launched Electra. All right. So it's not necessarily about starting something brand new that's never been done. Sometimes it's just about starting something that's a little bit different than what's been done. And that is how I started Electra. All right. So the thing I needed to do, though, because Gatorade and some of the other players in the category are so far ahead, multi-billion-dollar companies, I had to validate that Electra was actually even possible, that people would even consider buying it. So I'll tell you what I did to validate my product in the marketplace. The first thing I did was to look at the marketplace. What's out there? I went to every store. I went to natural stores, regular grocery stores, specialty stores, and I took pictures of every category in the sports drink that was even related to sports nutrition, because I had to know, listen, what is out there? What am I going to be walking into investors saying, hey, this is a new thing, this is a better for you thing? And then they would say, well, who are you competing with? And I would be like, I have no idea. So I took pictures of grocery store aisles, sports drink aisles. Not only that, I took pictures of water aisles, right? Because it's not that I'm just competing potentially with Electra with sports drinks. I'm competing with whatever customers are drinking for hydration. And so you have to be aware of the entire landscape. So the first thing I did was I looked at the marketplace, literally looked at the marketplace. Then I did a survey of 200 plus consumers, right? Consumers who were currently drinking hydration drinks, who were currently into sports nutrition, who were currently drinking the leaders in the space. Did a survey of them, asked them why they drank those things. What would it take to get them not to drink those things? What were they drinking instead of those things? Were they drinking before they started using those things, those drinks? And got all those answers and validated the fact that people not only were interested in something that was better for them, that they would actually try something that was better for them. So something like 43% of the people we surveyed said, yes, if there was something better on the marketplace, yes, we would try it. All right. So there's one thing getting people to say that they will, and then another thing getting them to try it. And we'll get to that later. Then it was about asking buyers, not just consumers. It was about asking buyers what was missing. That is the question that not a lot of entrepreneurs ask themselves. When you're starting something, you're just so excited. You want, it's the best thing since sliced bread. It's the best thing since ice cream. But you forget to ask yourself and the marketplace, what's missing? So when I started my company, I went to people who were very knowledgeable in the space, very knowledgeable as scientists, very knowledgeable as consumers. And I said, okay, guys, we know what's out there, what's missing. And they told me. And that's why I knew I had a space with Electra. And that's when it became time to secure the bag. So let's talk about raising capital, because before we get to Shark Tank, we got to talk about just the notion of raising capital. For me, raising capital is extremely fun. Everything I do, I try to make it fun. So raising capital is extremely fun. When you're raising capital for your company, as many of you will know, you start with your friends and family, unless you came from a rich family. Unless you came from a wealthy family, you talk about looking at people like your friends, your family, and your own funds. The 3 F's: friends, family, your own funds. Then there's crowdfunding, things like Kickstarter and Indiegogo. Those are websites, and there are hundreds of them, literally hundreds of them, that will allow people who have an idea to put their idea on the website, and then the crowd can fund their ideas. You can donate $20. You can back an idea by doing $50, $100, different denominations that you can use. The difference in a crowdfunding campaign like this is that you don't get equity in the company. You just become a supporter of the company. So a supporter, a backer, a contributor, those are all ways that you can leverage a crowdfunding campaign to raise capital for your business or your idea. Then there are private investors. So those are people like, I invest in companies. I probably invested in 15 or 20 companies over the last 3 or 4 years. So from as low as $50 to thousands of dollars. So private investors are just private individual citizens who are interested in the company, and they exchange money for equity. So a piece of the business, a piece of the action. So some people give, oh, you may get 1% of my company. You may get 0.5% of my company if you give me a certain amount of money. So those are private investors. Venture capitalists, sometimes called vulture capitalists, are people who their business, all they do all day long is find companies, typically high growth companies, to invest in. And typically what typifies what a venture capitalist will do in exchange for equity is that they will take a large amount of your company. So for instance, a venture capitalist, which is what Shark Tank is, the people on Shark Tank, those investors are venture capitalists. They are the highest order of investors. And so they may take 30, 40, 50, 60. Sometimes we'll see them take the entire company, 100% of the company, in exchange for whatever they bring. They bring status, they bring capital, actual money, they bring access to capital, they bring partnerships, strategic alliances, right? All of that comes with a venture capitalist. And then there are loans. There are tons of other ways you can raise capital, but these 5 are the primary ones. Then there are loans. You can get loans from banks. You can get loans from venture capitalists. Sometimes you'll see on Shark Tank, people will say, I will give you $100,000 cash, and then I'll give you $250 as a line of credit or a loan or whatever. All of those are verifiable, credible ways of raising capital, all right? So I started Electra with $25,000 of my own money. I stopped counting after $25,000 because I was willing to do whatever it took to get Electra off the ground. But after I did my first round of $25,000 of my own money, then I raised $125,000 from friends and family. So I'm going back to that friends and family round. Put my own sweat and blood and sweat equity into the company, my own skin in the game. And then I went to other people and say, listen, I'm starting this company. Here's what I'm doing. Here's the money that I put in the company myself. I want to raise 250 grand or whatever it was at the time. And people started to actually invest in my company. And I was able to raise $125,000 within 3 or 4 months. It was definitely shorter than 6 months. I stopped counting. It didn't matter to me how long it took. I was going to raise that money. And so the big thing that people typically want to know when you're raising capital is, what are you going to use the money for? What is it for? And so just as an example of what was in my investor deck for Electra is I had to talk about research and development. How do I know this idea can really fly? Branding and design. You see me in my Electra t-shirt. I'm actually in the same t-shirt right now. Branding and design, getting the packaging, getting the formulation. What is it going to taste like? Raw materials, packaging again, and sales and marketing. Website. Is the website up? Do I need to hire a salesperson? Whenever you're raising capital, people want to know, what's the money going to be for? All right. So for me, it became the question after I raised that $125,000 is, what's the next level for me? What is it? What's going to get me to the next level such that Electra is a real company? Okay. You've raised money. You have people who knew you, who've given you money, but you also have people that you didn't know, that you've made pitches to, who actually invested in your company. So what's next? And for me, it was Shark Tank. So we were planning to launch Shark Tank. We were planning to launch Electra about in the spring of 2020. We were planning to launch it at the Women's Final Four. I was producing a film called A League of Our Own about professional women's basketball, and we were going to launch it there. We were going to have some presence at the men's Final Four, basketball Final Four as well. And then COVID hit. And then it was like, son of a pup, like, what is going on? And so now we had to change everything. And for me, in that moment, I was like, okay, this is the time for me to get on Shark Tank, because I'd had ideas and businesses before. But for me, applying to Shark Tank was a different level. It was a different level of venture capital. It was a different level for the business. And I wanted to make sure that when I applied for Shark Tank, that I was doing it with the business that I really thought could get through, that they would see the merit and that they would want me to move forward in the show. And I knew that was Electra. So that was the next level for me. I knew that I needed partners. I knew that I needed access to capital, and I knew that I needed fast track to customers. So you notice I didn't say money necessarily, because for me, the priority, I'd already proven that I could raise money fairly quickly. And so I wasn't concerned about my ability to raise capital as I was about accelerated capital, accelerators for my success. And for me, that meant strategic partnerships with the Shark. That meant access to additional capital, because when you're raising capital for a beverage company, you're always raising capital. You're never not raising capital. And that's a reality. I know it's like that in a lot of sectors, but especially for beverage, because it's very expensive. Even if I had already raised $250,000 or $1 million, I still would have gone on Shark Tank, because you're always raising money. Okay. So for me, those were the three things: partners, access, and customers. Enter the Shark Tank, answering the question of what is your next level? Let's enter the Shark Tank. So what do you get when you get to the Shark Tank? You get proven entrepreneurs, access to capital, acceleration in the marketplace, instant credibility, insane media exposure. And let's face it, if 6 to 8 million plus million people are watching the show, you're getting tremendous access to eyeballs and credibility by being on Shark Tank, right? Customers. So then the question becomes, I'm gonna take a swig of my drink. The question becomes, so how do you get on the show? My ABCs of getting on Shark Tank: apply, believe, captivate. ABCs: apply, believe, and captivate. And we know the system works because I got on Shark Tank. So apply, believe, and captivate. Apply. It starts with the application. Let me just put it in perspective for you. Typically in a year that's non-COVID, when people can move about the country, Shark Tank gets, I think they said something like 30,000 people who apply. So some of those people are at the in-person auditions. Some of those people are online. But in 2020, the year that I was on, that I was actually going to be applying for Shark Tank, there were close to 100,000 applicants. Do I need to repeat that? 100,000, because you couldn't have the in-person stuff. So everything was coming online. And you know how many spots we're competing for? I think roughly 120 to 150, something like that. And not all those people get on, they actually go to air. So it's highly competitive. So you've got to apply, but then you also have to believe that your idea, that what you're putting, your idea, your business, that it belongs on Shark Tank. It's worthy of standing in that hollow, that sacred tank. You have to believe that. And then finally, you have to captivate. You have to know how to captivate on an application, on the telephone, over video, and on television. All right, so let's talk about the first one, apply. If you go to ABC and search for Shark Tank, you will see the page that shows you where to apply for it. But here's the thing. The actual application is the first audition. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. They don't realize that when you turn in that application, when you send that PDF to a producer, that is your first application. That's your first audition, I should say. So don't think, oh, I'm so magical, I'm so charismatic. Once they hear me on the phone, I'm going to make them swoon. That's not how it works. Your first audition is what you have written on the page. And a lot of people, that's insider tip. That's worth $1 million in and of itself. Doesn't matter what show you're applying for. When you audition, your application is the first audition. Okay. So you want to make sure that you actually captivate on that audition, on that application. You want to make sure that you make your personality jump off of the page. Okay. You want to make sure you follow instructions. If they say send me 3 5x7 pictures, then send them 3 5x7 pictures. If they say send me a fun picture and a solemn picture and you eating popcorn, follow instructions. It is extremely important that you follow instructions. They will eliminate people who don't follow instructions, right? Again, you want to show on paper who you are. You want to show on paper not just who you are, but who you will be on television. Every time you have contact with the producer, every time you have contact with the show, they are sizing you up and they're saying, how good is this person going to be on television? All right. Have a real business idea. If you saw some of the earlier shows, you saw that I can't even believe how the earlier shows looked, but that was 11, 12 years ago, whatever it is. And you saw them just get all kinds of people on the shows. That's not happening anymore. Shark Tank is not hard up for. So in the early years, they just had to get some folks on. Now it's highly competitive. So you want to make sure that you are bringing your best game to the application process. You want to return the paperwork when they ask you to return it. If they say get it back to us in 24 hours, that's what you need to do. All right. Don't bug the producers. So if they send you something, you send it to them. Don't keep going, hey, just want to make sure you got my thing. Hey, just want to make sure you got my thing. Hey, just want to make sure. Don't do that. That will get you eliminated. Now, what I will say as a caveat is that sometimes their communication goes to your spam box. So you want to make sure as soon as you get that first email from a producer, you want to make sure that you whitelist that email address. at Shark Tank TV, whatever it is. You want to make sure you whitelist that so that it comes through, because there were some times during last summer when we were going through the audition process that we had a circumstance where they sent me something and they would send me an email and say, hey, when are you going to have a chance to send that? And I was like, well, what are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about. So it had started going to my junk filter. So make sure as soon as you get that first email that you whitelist it and you make sure that it gets through. All right. And then the last thing is prepare for a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it will be a 3 to 4 month process of getting on the show. I sent my application in, I think in March, and got the first call in April. So a month passed before I even heard from them. And then you audition. And then finally you get an audition date. Here's a very important tip. Every time you speak to a producer, be excited. Every time, because if you don't, they're going to think, well, I'm turning this person doesn't want to be on the show. And remember, they're always looking at you as someone who's potentially going to be on the show. So they want to see what you're going to be like when you're excited. They want to see what you're going to be like when you're upset. So for me, when I got that first call for Shark Tank, I remember seeing the phone and I was on another call. I was busy or something. So I saw that it was a Culver City phone number, but I couldn't answer. They left a message and said, hey, this is whoever it was, Jen or whoever it was, and just want you to give me a call back. I have some information about the show. She didn't sound overly excited. She didn't sound depressed. So I called her and she said, hey, Fran, this is Jen or whatever it was. I just want to let you know that you have made it through. Immediately, I acted like I'd won $1 million. And I genuinely was excited. So I was genuinely excited, but important for her to see, hey, she's excited. This is what this person is going to be like if they get a deal. I just gave you another $1 million tip. Every time you have contact with the producer via email, via the phone, via video chat, whatever, because you may do all of that, be excited. Show them who they're going to see on the show. All right. All right. So speaking of the show, first thing you need to realize, it's a TV show, y'all. It's a TV show. Don't ever lose sight of the fact that it is a TV show. And so with that, you've got to be thinking about what makes a TV show successful. Every successful TV show gets what? Great ratings. And how do you get great ratings? I'm putting it on the page for you right now. 6 ways. Entertaining. Be entertaining. Right? Everybody's not high energy. This is my personality. It's my personality all day, every day. Right? This is how I am, unless somebody's dead or dying. This may not be you. Maybe your personality is a little dry. Maybe your personality is serious. But if you're not entertaining, you won't be on the show. That's the reality. You won't be on the show. So you have to be entertaining. Every great TV show has drama. Everything can't be hunky-dory all the time. Peaches and cream, sunshine and blue skies. Sometimes there's going to be some drama. Every great show has drama. If you watch Shark Tank, if you've seen my episode, there are many moments, even people who knew me were just like, I was so nervous. I was biting my nails when you and Barbara were doing whatever. There has to be drama. It's what keeps people coming back. It's what keeps people glued to the television. It's what keeps people from changing the channel. Now, if you look at my episode, and I highly recommend that you go back and look at my episode, you will see that there were really many moments of entertainment, humor, seriousness, laughter, suspense, intrigue, right? Nobody was changing the channel when I was on my episode. I'm just saying they probably weren't. Not because necessarily of me. Okay, well, yeah. But also because it was all the things I'm talking to you about now. It was entertaining. There was drama. There was humor, right? There was some sarcasm. There was some snarkiness with me and Mr. Wonderful. There was conflict. There was relatability, right? You related to the entrepreneur, whether it was me or somebody who came after me. You related to me because I was an athlete or a woman, or because you drink water, or because you like sports drinks, or because you hate Mr. Wonderful. All of it was relatable. That's why that show is so successful, because people relate to it, and it has all these elements. And then finally, tears. You're going to see some tears. Every episode, mark my words, you're going to see some tears. And I remember when I was hosting my show, my series on HGTV called Home Rules, one of my executive producers we would go over the show, and we were like, okay, this is what's going to happen here. That's what's going to happen here. And what are you going to say here? And I said, well, I'm thinking about saying this, whatever. And they were like, oh, that's good. That's going to give me my tears. So what they meant was like, that's going to get me that tug moment where right? They love that. So TV is about ratings, and you have to remember that. How are you going to help this show get ratings? Be yourself, be who you naturally are, and then just take it up another level. Take it up another level. If you're snarky, if you're a know-it-all, if you're whatever, take it up another level, because that's going to give great conflict on the show. All right. So that's number one. It's a TV show, y'all. Number two, know what you want. Know what you want. What is it that you want when you go into the Shark Tank, right? And then let's make a deal, right? If you walk in there and you're like, okay, I'm looking for cash, I'm looking for strategic partnerships, I'm looking for what? What are you looking for? You want to get on QVC? You're looking for advice, mentoring. You don't need money so much. You don't have to have a loan, whatever. What is it that you want? Do you want cash? Do you want line of credit? Do you want a convertible note? Do you want a loan? Do you want partnership? What do you want? Be very clear about what you want. Okay. And that's what Shark Tank is about. It's about going in, being clear about what you want as the CEO and the entrepreneur, and then the conflict that arises as a matter of you trying to get what you want and a shark trying to get what they want. That's what makes the show great. Nobody's going to say, if you said, hey, I'm looking for $1 million for 20% at these terms or whatever, and they said, okay, it wouldn't be a show. It wouldn't work. It doesn't have any of the elements that I talked about on the previous page. So the inherent conflict is what makes the show great, but always know what you want, what you've gone in there to get. And then third and finally, it's your company. It's your company. I've had multiple conversations with Barbara's team, and it's like, here's what we think, but it's your company. Here are our ideas, but it's your company. These are our suggestions, but it's your company. These are our recommendations, but it's your company, right? This is what we think might work, but in the end, it's your company. And so that's what you have to never lose sight of, is that, yes, you want to be open to hearing what your shark has to say. You want to be open to hearing what that panel has to say, but ultimately you have to do what is best for your company. So I'm going to take a swig of water real quickly. I know I talk really fast, but I wanted to give you the good of what you need to do to improve your chances of getting on Shark Tank, or any reality show for that matter, because the principles apply to everyone. But here's the deal. You've got two choices. You can try to figure it out yourself, and you can do a lot of research online. You can watch endless YouTube videos. You can watch every episode of Shark Tank like I did. And you can hope that you're doing it all right. That's one choice. That's one way to go about trying to figure this out if you're serious about getting on TV. Or you can take my blueprint, years of studying Shark Tank and understanding how to pitch investors. Even if I didn't get on Shark Tank, you can steal my cheat sheet on everything I did to prepare for my audition for Shark Tank and for the process of being on Shark Tank. You can leverage my 25 years in television of getting booked on 90% of the shows that I ever auditioned for. Been on Good Morning America, The Today Show, CNN, CNBC, MSNBC, ESPN, PBS, you name it. I've been on every major network on the planet, 25 years. You can leverage and copy and paste exactly what I just went through very quickly in this presentation. You can watch simple how-to videos that I put together that basically show you how to get this done. And you can significantly improve your chances of not only getting on Shark Tank, but any show you want, just by following my blueprint. So introducing Shark Tank Masterclass, Audition Masterclass. This is a straight paint by the numbers, easy to digest course that I put together actually before I got on Shark Tank. I literally took my 25 years in television and said, hey, listen, these are the things that I've done to get on 85 to 95% of the shows that I've ever auditioned for. And then I applied those to Shark Tank, and then finally got the right idea, the right pitch that I wanted for Shark Tank, and auditioned for it, applied for it, auditioned for it, and got on it. So as my Shark Tank producer said when he heard that I was doing this course, well, we know it works because you got on the show, right? So Shark Tank Audition Masterclass has 4 simple modules. As you can see on screen right now, I take you through everything that you need, from the application process to auditioning to all the insider tips that nobody tells you, what you need to do to get past the gatekeepers to keep moving. Remember, over 100,000 people apply for Shark Tank in 2020, right? Those are the estimated numbers. And only 100 make it to the show. And I was one of those. So I kind of know what I'm talking about. All right. Module 1 is about basically the application process. I go into serious depth on the things that you need to put on your application, the things that you need to avoid putting on your application, how you show up during that application process will be everything in terms of getting you to the next level. So module 1 is just about basic training for Shark Tank. Module 2 is about how producers think, how producers work. Why is Shark Tank even working? What's the framework for getting on Shark Tank? Why has the show been successful, so that you can actually model successful pitches and start to move and improve your chances of getting on the show. In module 3, I talk about audition seekers. How do you put together your audition tape? How do you talk in your audition tape? Should you just be sitting at a desk like I'm doing right now, a webinar, or should you be out in the field? There are many different ways that you can put your audition tape together. And then there's some things that you shouldn't do that will knock you out of the boat for getting on the show if you do these things in your audition tape as well. So we talk a lot about the application process. Again, it's a continuum. It's not just you submit your application and then that's it. The entire process of getting on Shark Tank is about applying. So every week when you're talking to your producer, they're looking for reasons to eliminate people. So what do you do during those weeks? How do you show up during those weeks where they are saying, hey, we've still got 500 people. We got to get this down to 200. How do you make sure that you're not in the 300 that gets cut? All right. Module 2 and 3 is all about that. And then module 4 is about pitching. How can you become a pitch extraordinaire? If you saw my pitch, go study my pitch. Now, this is widely known on the internet that what you see on television is just a fourth of what happens in the tank. Obviously, you're in there for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. Some people have been there for 2 hours. So they have to distill it down to a compelling pitch. But what you saw in my pitch was literally the pitch that I wrote initially when we started pitching with our producers. How do you put together a pitch that really grabs producers and helps them to understand that you're going to be a great fit for the show? And then how do you put that pitch together so that it's great TV? Those are the things that I will work with you on in module 4 in the pitch secrets portion of it. So it's very simple. Module 1 is about audition, basic training. Module 2 is about putting the story together about your company. Module 3 is about getting ready, applying all those things during the course of the ongoing weeks of working with a producer to be on the show, because that's also part of the audition. And then module 4 is about the actual pitch. How do you put that together so that you knock it out of the park before and during the pitch on the floor of the tank? So if you're as smart as I know you are, first of all, you showed up, so I know that. This is your opportunity to literally let me hand you my cheat sheet for getting on Shark Tank, right? All the things I couldn't tell you in the short time, because in the interest of time, we couldn't be here all night. I'm going to share with you in Shark Tank's audition masterclass. Now, clearly, the benefit of being in this course is that you get all my years of 25 years of being on television, and also the same blueprint that I used to actually get on Shark Tank and to actually get a deal on Shark Tank. Clearly, I could charge thousands of dollars for this, and I have done consultations with entrepreneurs that have paid $1,000, $2,500, even $5,000 to work with me all the way through the process of getting on the show and have gotten on the show. Now, not everybody has gotten on the show. Some people have fallen out, gotten eliminated, but all of those people have walked away with tremendous value, understanding that what they learned with working for me and working with me is that this is going to benefit them when they decide to raise capital. It doesn't mean that they just can only use what they learn with me in Shark Tank, in the tank itself. Okay. So obviously I could charge thousands of dollars for this, but today, because you're here and you're getting this special access, you are only going to pay one payment of $97. $97 for modules, access to really understand what it takes to pitch and get an investor to say yes, but more importantly, learning the art and the craft of getting on the #1 business reality show on the planet. So if you're still here, it means that you are serious, not just curious about getting on Shark Tank or other reality shows. I want you to go right now to SharkTankAuditions.com. SharkTankAuditions.com. I want to remind you that on January 8th, 2021, I walked into the tank without a deal, walked out with a deal, and within 24 hours, an unknown brand had over 400 orders. Just a quick reminder, this is not fluff. This is not theory. This is not conjecture. This is the real deal about how you can get your brand, your idea, your invention, your business on the #1 reality TV show on the planet. All right. So go to sharktankauditions.com right now. Get this special deal. No code is needed. You're getting everything that I described in our conversation today for one payment of $97. Go, go, go. All right. Because this will not last forever. Clearly, I can't do this all night. Like the ShamWow guy used to say in the infomercials, can't do this all night. The price will go up. Clearly, it is valued at more than $97. But because you are here right now, I can guarantee you that you are still
All right, folks, that was some information from Fran and some of the amazing things that she's doing. Like I said, she's been on our show before. She was showing how to get on to Shark Tank on that particular presentation that she gave me the access to and all of that. So I was definitely glad to have her give me access to that so that I could share that with you folks here at the online dinner party. By the way, there are all kinds of great shows that happen here on IBM TV, the International Broadcast Media. Among them is the show that my good friends do at Talking Upstream. So let's check out one of their ads right now, and I'm going to come back with some news items that I've read about and heard about as well. But let's check out Talking Upstream. Well, it looks like there's been some interesting news out of the world of London. That's right. The Times has quoted unnamed sources who said that the Duchess of Sussex, that would be Meghan Markle, has faced a bullying complaint from staff during her time at Kensington Palace. A spokesman for Meghan and Harry, the Duke and Duchess, said they were saddened by what they said was an attack on the character of Meghan. On Wednesday, Buckingham Palace issued a statement saying an investigation has been launched and that the royal household will not tolerate bullying or harassment in the workplace. So we're going to see how this all plays out and whether this impacts Meghan's status over there in London and around Europe and all of that. So that's just one of the news items that was going on in the world that I had just seen come across my screen and all of that. So that's one of the things that folks are talking about. And of course, folks are constantly talking about how things are going with the COVID pandemic and all of that. So definitely a lot of folks are paying attention to that. Today, Governor Cooper rolled up his sleeves to get his first dose of the vaccine. Group 3 frontline essential workers are now eligible to get their shot. Getting it is safe and easy, and each shot gets us closer to beating the virus. That seems to be a statement that he was making and all of that. So definitely looks like more people are going to be getting the vaccines even here in North Carolina. So that is one of the things that is going on a positive note. And we're hoping that folks will continue to get the vaccine and that this herd immunity will come around and all of that. So we're definitely hoping that more and more people will be getting better and that we'll continue seeing society getting better as well. This has been a very trying year. We all know that. It has been incredibly trying. And I know a lot of folks are trying to deal with these trying times and find ways that they can improve their own lives and all of that. So definitely that is some of the things that are going on in the world. I think I'm going to check out with the Herald Sun and see what they've got happening in the world as well, because we do like to keep you informed about a number of things that are happening in our world and how we can be impacted by them and all of that. So definitely Durham board members are calling out teachers' threats during schools reopening debate. So definitely this whole debate around reopening. I know a number of folks that do not want their kids to go back to school until things are as safe as they feel that they can be. So, as of last night, a divided Durham school board decided that students will return to classrooms this month as scheduled, with one board member definitely basically calling out the teachers for alleged bullying during the reopening debate. Elementary school students will return to class on March 15th. So that'll actually be not this coming Monday, but the following Monday. And while middle school and high school students will begin returning on April 8th. Families can still choose to remain out of the school and to remain in that virtual kind of environment, virtual classes. And I do know some people in my life that are definitely opting to do that. The back and forth decision making has strained relationships between some Durham Public School community members and school board members. The board has received hundreds of comments from parents and educators on both sides of the issue about the decision to be in the classroom again. So the board's vice chair, Mike Lee, no relation, said teachers had bullied him over his vote to reopen schools, with some staff alluding to his 3 children in their criticism, threatening families, threatening board members, attacking them for their opinion and their beliefs. He said that is not organizing. A motion to resume in-school instruction for all students April 8th failed in a 4-3 vote. Those who supported pushing back the start date wanted to give teachers more time to get vaccinated. Teachers became eligible on February 24th for the vaccine. The meeting came after the legislature school reopening bill, which would have required schools to offer some form of in-person classes, reached the end of its life on Monday. Last Thursday, the DPS Board of Education discussed delaying reopening classrooms. It had called an emergency meeting the week before and approved a March 15th start date for elementary school students, anticipating the possible passage of Senate Bill 37, which would have required in-person instruction within 15 days. But Governor Roy Cooper's opposition to SB 37 cast doubt on the bill's future, so the board agreed to wait 5 days to weigh its options and until the governor acted on the bill. So board member Matt Sears, who proposed the April 8th date, said the board had pulled the rug from under the staff when they voted to reopen classrooms at an emergency meeting in February. He said the extra time could give more educators a chance to get a COVID-19 vaccine. For me, this is as much about trust with our staff as it is about the safety factor, he said. He added that the district had spent years building relationships between administration and staff, giving teachers more of a say in DPS decision making. So it definitely looks like folks are going back and forth on this whole issue. Some local leaders had immediately condemned the board's reopening decision at the emergency meeting, which didn't allow for public comment. Durham County Commissioner Nita Adams sent out a statement that night in which she wrote, "This lack of transparency is problematic." So there were also some folks that denounced the board's decision on the union's public Facebook page. Sears, Natalie Meyer, and Alexandria Valadares backed the proposed April 8th date, but a majority decided to stick with the district's original plans and all of that. So definitely there seems to be some disgruntled views about how things are going. I know a lot of folks that are wanting to be sure that their kids are safe when they're in school. I can say that from my own younger brother, as well as one of my good friends who's got 2 teenage daughters and does some stuff with us here on the network, as well as a number of others as well. So definitely a lot of folks are realizing that these have been a hard years that we've been dealing with, but definitely there are still things that have to be corrected in order for us to feel safe. And I know that there are even some folks that are wondering about the mask rules based on what some other states are doing and all of that. But I, for one, will be still wearing the mask until I feel that things are a lot more safe and all of that. As a matter of fact, there was an article that said this time a year ago, so they were talking about this time, meaning literally on this day, a pastor received a phone call from a man in need of a prayer. Before the call, it had been an ordinary Tuesday for Wolfgang Hirschland, the senior pastor at Christ the King Lutheran Church in Cary. After it, he suspected that life would be much different, that things might change quickly. The only question was by how much and how soon. So definitely, it was March 3rd, 2020, a year ago Wednesday. Hearst Lane was at home watching the news. The lead story was everywhere. North Carolina had reported its first case of COVID-19. So it was actually on today that a year ago in North Carolina had its first case of the COVID-19 and all of that. The man who tested positive was a Wake County resident. He returned from a trip to Washington State, official says, where he visited a long-term facility with an outbreak. The revelation felt urgency. A threat that once seemed far away had arrived. So definitely Governor Roy Cooper addressed the state during a news conference. We've been preparing for this, he said then, and we do expect to see more cases in North Carolina. He tried to offer calm confidence. I want to assure you the state of North Carolina is prepared. So definitely it looks like it was about a year ago here in North Carolina that we've dealt with this. And of course, a number of folks are still dealing with it even to this day and time. And we know that it's definitely impacted everything from school to churches to a number of other of our institutions and all of that. So definitely we're going to see how things are going to continue. As I said, things are changing and hopefully they will continue to change for the better and all of that. But we're just going to play it out and see how things go in that regard. But that's just one of the stories that was talking about. So I did not realize that today was literally a year ago that the first case had happened here in North Carolina. So definitely that is a day that I'm sure many people will be marking on their calendars for many years to come and all of that. So that's, like I said, that was something that I had not realized and just now realized when I saw this particular news story and all of that. And we do know that it's impacting on even things that are not as important as education and work and things of that nature, but even some of the more lighthearted things like concerts and sports and a number of other things that folks like to do for rest and relaxation. But, you know, even in the sports category, a number of teams have had shortened seasons. Even in some conferences, there are teams that have had many more games than other teams because of outbreaks and things along that line. So definitely that's one of the things that is happening. As a matter of fact, it does look like the virus will be impacting graduation once again, even on the Duke level, because they are saying that right now Duke is planning an in-person graduation ceremony for their seniors, but no families on this spring. So this will be the second year that it has impacted things along that line. Duke University is planning an in-person graduation ceremony this spring, bringing back a tradition that most college students lost last year because of the pandemic. Commencement will be held outdoors in Wallace Wade Stadium for undergraduate students in the class of 2021 who have been regular participants in Duke's COVID-19 testing surveillance program, the university announced. The mass testing program has helped limit the spread of COVID-19 among students and employees on campus. At this point, only graduating seniors will be allowed to attend, and Duke will broadcast the ceremony online for friends and families. Attendees will wear face masks and be socially distant. Duke President Vincent Price said they want to offer the students the opportunity to experience this once-in-a-lifetime event safely. Things could still change. It's not a guarantee, and the university will adjust its plans based on public health guidance and legal directives from North Carolina and Durham officials. Should conditions improve, we may consider expanding the scope of the ceremony, Price said. On the other hand, should the situation worsen, we may be forced to make the entire event virtual. The event is scheduled for Sunday, May 2nd, after students finish final exams. Some graduate and professional programs may offer separate in-person celebrations at a later date. So that's some of the things that are going on in our world. Last spring, the UNC system postponed in-person graduation ceremonies, and the universities held virtual commencements because of COVID-19. The system has not announced guidelines for campuses, and UNC Chapel Hill and North Carolina State University have not announced commencement plans for their 2021 graduates. UNC Chapel Hill hopes to hold a spring commencement this year that includes spring 2020 and winter 2020 graduates. The UNC Chapel Hill graduation ceremony is typically held outside in Kenan Stadium and is currently scheduled for May 16th. North Carolina State graduation is typically held at PNC Arena and is currently scheduled for May 15th. So we're definitely going to see how that all plays out and everything along that line. As a matter of fact, one other article that folks may be interested in is that one about North Carolina state folks that are apparently very excited about the fact that they are now on the vaccine list and are hoping to get back to normalcy. So yes, North Carolina University workers are happy to be vaccine eligible and ready to get to a place of normalcy. North Carolina college and university employees, as well as students working on campus, are eligible for COVID-19 vaccines starting on Wednesday. Governor Roy Cooper announced yesterday the frontline essential workers, including college and university instructors and support staff, would be eligible a week earlier than expected now that 3 COVID-19 vaccines are available. So there are 3 of those out there now. And definitely, I know a number of folks will be trying to get those, and that is definitely going to hopefully get folks back out into the workforce. Employees who are working in person at their place of work, including staff who anticipate an immediate return to in-person work setting, can make an appointment at any vaccination site in the state. Matter of fact, they were talking to one housekeeper who, Tracy Harder, who was working in the UNC Chapel Hill dorms, and she said that she planned to get vaccinated as soon as she can make an appointment. She felt that it was her patriotic duty to get vaccinated, and she hopes she can set an example for coworkers and others who are hesitant. And she also added that she hopes that the country can move forward and it helps the university get to a place where we can get to a place of normalcy. Some university faculty have been teaching online throughout the fall and spring semester. Most housekeepers, food service workers, and those managing campus facilities have never been able to work remotely and have been concerned about their safety on college campuses. Those employees who have continued to come to campus throughout the pandemic will feel much safer if they can get vaccinated, said Shanna Hill, the chair of Employee Forum at UNC Chapel Hill. To live with having to go in and interact with people when you don't know the cautions or precautions they've been taking adds an element of anxiety to an already really, really hard situation. We need to look after the folks that have the most risk. UNC Chapel Hill is working with UNC Health to register all of its employees with the state's COVID-19 vaccine management system, which is required for vaccination. If someone receives a paycheck from the university, that person will be automatically registered into the system, according to an announcement from UNC that includes postdoctoral researchers, teaching assistants, and research assistants. So definitely looks like more and more people are getting eligible as well. As a matter of fact, it says that any undergraduate or graduate student worker who receives a paycheck from UNC Chapel Hill or as a work study position will also be registered with the state, said. And there's a person, Sophia Nanak, a graduate student worker at UNC Chapel Hill, that added that the university already enrolled her in the system, and she's excited about the opportunity for employees to get vaccinated soon. It made her and her partner, who is a K-12 teacher, feel much safer. So definitely looks like more and more people are getting vaccinated, and even some of the universities are opening up vaccine clinics. As a matter of fact, North Carolina State University expects to begin distributing vaccines on campus the week of March 22nd at Tally Student Union, and all faculty, staff, and students who want to be vaccinated at NC State can pre-register and make appointments beginning the week of March 8th. The university is highly encouraging all eligible members of the North Carolina State community to get vaccinated, but it is not required. Across the state, UNC system campuses are helping distribute COVID-19 vaccines, and some have set up vaccination clinics, particularly aimed at reaching underserved, that's what they meant to say, underserved communities. North Carolina A&T, UNC Asheville, UNC Pembroke, and West Carolina University are also running vaccine clinics on their campus. Winston-Salem University is partnering with Novant to vaccinate the community, and Appalachian State University is about to open its clinic operations. UNC Chapel Hill is not a vaccine provider itself, but a mass vaccination site at UNC Chapel Hill's Friday Center is a critical part of the state's effort. So definitely, it looks like, as I'm saying, more and more people are getting vaccinated, and that is definitely some great news that we're hearing from our community and all of that. I did want to bring up some of the other shows that we've got here on the International Broadcast Media, as well as, a matter of fact, a show that I'm a big fan of that'll be on tomorrow, that being the Gamers Den. And then, of course, I did want to also bring up the contestants or the online dinner party mystery guests. And I think I might even bring their pictures up on the next edition, but I'm going to give you the clues on this particular edition as well. But I'm going to read those clues very shortly, and that'll get ready to wrap up what looks like it might be a shortened version of the online dinner party. I know I'd invited some folks, but it looks like none of them have managed to make it, but that's okay. We still had a good show and a good run and all of that. But let's check out about the Gamers Den. Well, we've had a good show. We even had Fran Harris, who was earlier talking about her experiences with the Shark Tank, and of course, her experiences with her energy drink, Electra, and all of that. But now we've got Jeff Prather joining us as well. So always glad to have some great guests and everything along those lines. So how you doing, Jeff? I see you got your badass fitness going on. I probably need some fitness myself because I've been one of those folks who've been too much in the pandemic and not having enough of that quality food in terms of healthy food, and definitely have not been getting enough exercise. I know I was talking to a good friend of mine who was at our local gym and meeting in the apartment complex where I live, and he was like saying, they got everything that you need right here at this gym. And I'm like, oh, it's not like one of the top gyms, that I'd probably need to go use some of that gym equipment since I'm putting on a little weight, and I think everybody is doing this time and everything. So tell folks a little bit about yourself and about your fitness company and all of that.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me on your show. The first thing I'm actually going to say is I listened to an episode of your podcast when you invited me just to kind of check it out and see what it was all about. And the first thing I thought of was, man, this guy's got a voice for radio. You you got it, man. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
But yeah, thanks again for having me. And my fitness program is called Badass Dad Fitness. It is, geared towards dads. And, I kind of got inspired to make it because, there's an app as well as a website you can go to for the on-demand workouts. Plus there is, Zoom coaching so that I can connect live. So it kind of gives the best of both worlds, in terms of on-demand workout anywhere, anytime with the workouts on the app. And then whenever you kind of have a struggle, a question, want to look at your form, want to get a new or a different type of workout, I make my calendar available. We hop on a Zoom chat that would be not too different than your live stream podcast here. Right. And we would just kind of figure out what we can do to work together to best help you with your fitness.
That's a great thing to do and everything. How much of a client base are you getting now? Because I'm imagining I am a uncle, don't have any kids of my own, but my younger brother has got two boys that are now 11 and 12, about to be 12 and 13. And I know that while they can oftentimes give him a lot of exercise running around after them and everything, he sometimes probably isn't doing enough. And I know a number of his friends also might not be doing enough in that exercise form, just with everybody being at home and in these kind of like COVID situations that we're in. So are you finding that you're getting more clients these days?
Yeah, and it's fairly new, but it's up to, I started last year and didn't have the app live till later last year, up to about 40 users, maybe the last time I checked. Really hoping to continue to grow that and help as many people as possible. And that's another reason that I made it this remote personal coaching format as opposed to just being a personal trainer in the gym, because I felt like I could have a bigger outreach and help more people that way. You know, a personal trainer only has so many hours per day in the gym, but I felt like I could really have a lot larger impact by putting my workouts on demand within the fitness app for people to kind of just check out at any time. So yeah, I'm hoping to continue to grow that number. I'm hoping some people are out there listening to our conversation right now, or when you get it loaded up on Apple Podcasts, and they'll want to go check it out. And definitely at some point in the show, I can give some instructions on how they can find it, check it out, and see what it's all about.
Yeah, definitely hoping that they'll do that and everything. Are most of the clients pretty much in your home area, or are you finding them all over the country? And tell folks where you're located at, because I'm wondering if you're even finding like some global clients, and are you open to global clients?
Yes, I am open to clients anywhere and everywhere, and that's another reason that, you know, the app works anywhere, anytime. So I am in Nashville, Tennessee, and originally from the Atlanta area, proud University of Georgia graduate.
Okay.
And I have clients ranging from Tennessee, Georgia, and then there are some others, honestly, that I've just reached through Facebook and social media platforms that, you know, I couldn't even tell you every part of the country that I've got clients in. But that's the beauty of it, Mark, is that, you know, you don't have to, you know, go down to your local gym, but you could use the app to do the workouts in the gym or at home. I tried to be conscious of making the app affordable, not only the actual cost of using the program, but also the equipment you would need to invest in to participate. So I definitely made plenty of workouts available that don't require any equipment. And then the rest of the workouts, just a pretty basic dumbbell or resistance band setup.
Now, I know that there's been an increase in what people call mindfulness, like yoga and things of that nature, but there was a time that gyms and the workouts, and particularly even the kind of like video versions of workouts that maybe Jane Fonda or, you know, Schwarzenegger and a number of other athletes and entertainers made famous several decades ago and everything. Do you think that we're still seeing a rise in that again with COVID, that we're seeing more and more people that are becoming more and more physically minded, or definitely thinking about their exercise on a regular basis, even more so than we might have, say, 3 or 4 years ago?
Yeah, I definitely think that more people are becoming more educated and mindful of their health. I mean, and to your point about kind of at-home exercise programs, you know, some people love them, some people hate them, and I tried to make mine a little bit different. So, you know, I've done the program that was released, you know, 10 or more years ago, maybe Insanity by Shaun T. You know, great program, but very difficult, not for your average at-home user. And also it was just very, you know, you have the DVD and the workout's the workout. But what's really cool about my program, I don't really look at it as the same thing as one of those at-home DVD-based workout programs, because it's an app and it's always growing and changing. For instance, if I had a user who said, you know, I'd really like to see a workout with these exercises in it, I'd just go set up my camera, I'd film that workout, and then I could name it after them if they wanted to, you know?
Okay.
So it's very fluid in that the exercise library is always going to be growing. And in fact, the next program I plan to implement is going to be called Busy Dad. And that kind of gets to the heart of one of the reasons I wanted to make this program specific to dads, is that I just feel like there's so many demands on the modern dad. The modern dad is what a dad has always been, as a provider, a breadwinner, but he's also, you know, now equally involved in, you know, being a good dad to his kids, being a good, you know, partner to his spouse. And it's just a lot, and work, the work environment we live in, because I actually come from, you know, a 9-to-5 background. I sit behind, you know, a computer all day, you know, prior to becoming a trainer with creating this Badass Dad, you know, program. So dads have all these demands, and they're so busy, they're overworked, overstressed, burned out, they're exhausted. And so Busy Dad, what it's going to do is create a way for a dad to build an exercise habit in 20 minutes or less per day that's still going to be a really effective workout plan.
That sounds like a great idea for the dads and everything that are out there. Now, I know you're targeting it to the dads, but it's open to all members of society. So I'm sure that you have some stuff that even the moms can get involved in, and the kids and the rest of the family as well, even though you're targeted primarily toward the dads.
Yeah, dads are so neglected. I've talked to some other trainers about this, and people may or may not be surprised to find out that women are all over accepting help with their health and their wellness and their fitness. And there's probably good and bad reasons for that. There's a few additional societal norms and expectations that women, are trying to live up to in our society. But the dads kind of get overlooked, and dads kind of like, they won't stop at the gas station and ask for directions when they're lost. They typically will have a tougher time asking for directions when they're lost with their health. But yeah, to that point, I also, after Busy Dad, I would really like to create the next program to be, because a big obstacle for dads would be their kid or their spouse or somebody needs their time and attention when it's time for the dad to work out. So instead of having that be an obstacle, my goal is to create a program where you say, oh, hey, you know what? And like, this is what I do with my nephew is, if my nephew wants to hang out, but I want to get a workout in, he's just turned 3 this weekend. He loves being lifted up like overhead. You do 20 or 30 of those and you're getting your workout on right there. So I'll just squat down, pick them up, toss them up in the air. And so, that's what I really want to make innovative about the program is that your family is not an obstacle, but they're actually can help and participate.
So we can have one called Busy Uncle for me and you, since I don't have any kids, like I said, but I've got my 2 nephews and everything. So we can have one that'll be called the Busy Uncle app as well.
Yes, and it's called Badass Dads, and that's how I market it, because I really have a soft spot for dads, and it's really one of my aspirations to be a phenomenal dad. But it's open to anybody, and there's actually kind of a prevailing myth in society that women have to work out with this dainty, delicate type of cardio workout, and men, work out with these big, strong weights workouts. But actually, they're both of those types of workouts are in the app, and strength training is good for everyone, men and women alike. Lifting weights, it's actually a more effective way to get a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a more effective way to actually burn fat than actually what would be considered long duration steady state cardio. So rather than go out for a 3 or 4 or 5 mile jog, you'd actually have a more effective experience lifting weights.
Now, were you always the one that was as a high schooler and as a college person, were you involved in athletics yourself? And were you always the one that was into exercise, or is this something that came to your life later on in life? Like I said, I know way back in the ice ages of the 70s, I ran track in my high school. I was a horrible track runner and actually got defeated and killed. I was kind of like the Charlie Brown of my team, but I think that my coach loved me because I was a good recruiter and a good networker even back then. So I was able to recruit good players, and we actually won our championship in our conference, I think, 3 out of the 4 years. We might have lost it the last year because I got a little greedy and decided to pick on somebody that I could recruit that I knew I could beat, and that might have cost us the championship. But that's just the way life rolls sometimes. But were you an athlete growing up, or were you involved in exercise all your life, or is this something that came about later?
It's funny. I was going to try to jump in there and prove to you that I had listened to one of your recent podcasts, because you were telling that story recently. And I was going to say, and you won state 3 out of 4 years, and then in the last year, I was going to help you with that story there, just to prove to you that I had listened to you recently. Yeah, I was. My dad is a really good dad, and as we were kids growing up, he was a really good dad. He always prioritized being at our sporting events, getting us into trying as many things as possible. So yeah, from an early age, whenever they would let you register for sports, football, t-ball, basketball, soccer and baseball fell by the wayside pretty quick. Baseball, there wasn't enough happening for me. I was in the outfield picking up my cleats. So it wasn't very effective there. Really stuck with football and basketball. And, even once, I was no longer playing at a competitive level, at those sports, I just realized that I enjoyed the things that went into those sports that got you in shape for those sports. I just you know, so many people, as we all stay very connected in this world here with social media after high school and college, I noticed learning about their lives and kind of lost touch with their health very quickly. You know, they really, put on weight, we're no longer exercising, we're no longer engaging in physical activity. And, that just was never something I wanted to happen to me. I just always loved physical activity. And I discovered a little bit later in life, a little more recently, that I don't only love it for myself, I love it to share it with others. I like to coach it. In some cases, I actually came and helped myself from coach. I'll tell you a funny story is that I also am pretty handy with various Microsoft applications on the computer. I do the keyboard shortcuts. I work on for several years now since college, worked on a computer all day, so I can work pretty quickly and efficiently. And I'll be, trying to show my wife how to navigate something on the computer in Excel or whatever. And I will be coaching her on how to do it faster, even though I know she doesn't want to know how to do it faster. She just wants to get it done. It's not about speed for her. And that'll always end up in a little bickering argument every single time. So I sometimes can't even turn my coaching off because I just like to help others the most that I really can.
Do you ever think that you'll go into coaching in the sense of not just the fitness coaching, but also doing the coaching on the college or the professional level in terms of like football or in terms of some of the other sports that are out there? Because I've actually got some cousins that have done that and have been involved in coaching. And sometimes they have that same mentality. By the way, I meant to tell you that it doesn't always just go with trainers, because I remember one of the stories that my cousin Keith told me, and he's actually I want to say at one of his schools, he became the athletic director and everything. But he had been a coach of that particular school. And I remember him saying that his principal had to tell him that he had to not coach, because he always wanted to go down and coach his coaches and tell them what they should be doing and everything. But that wasn't his responsibility as athletic director at that school that he was at that particular time. So he got called out on that, and they were like saying, nope, you've got a different job now. You're more of an administrator. You can't go down there telling the coach what to do. You can maybe give them some words of encouragement, but you don't need to be trying to do their job and your job.
Yeah, at a certain point, it becomes micromanaging, huh?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So to answer your question, there have definitely been times where I thought that that's something I was going to pursue, is to try to get into coaching a sport at some level. But just the path that life took me on, I was, right out of college, I was, really concerned and intent on providing a good financial base for myself and any family. So that's kind of how I got into the corporate world. And for going on 9 years, I've had there. But I think over time, just realized that it was time for me to pursue my passion and not just, financial security and financial success. So yeah, 2020, I think, brought that realization. I've known it for several years, but 2020 actually brought me into action on that. And yeah, I finally just took the plunge and started figuring out how to build an app in 2020. And it's been a cool process. I never would have dreamed how much there was to learn. It's not just knowing how to get fit. I had to learn how to shoot videos and how to upload those to the app and work with my, app vendor, and how to take all the knowledge that's in my head and how to convey it to people. And that's something I still learn every day as I work with more and more clients, users of the app. I figure out, how can I explain to this person in a way that makes sense to them what their next steps are.
And what do you think is one of the biggest things you've learned from your training and your coaching and everything that you can bring to just the general population, whether they're taking your classes and courses, or whether they're using your app, or just that they could just use in general, but some of the things that you might have learned from the world of athleticism as well as the world of fitness that folks should just bring into their day-to-day life?
Well, when I started studying health and fitness more formally, something I didn't expect to be all that, prevalent has become a cornerstone of the way I coach. And this applies to anything in life, in my opinion, is really about habits. I believe that small habit changes, just incremental little improvements over time that you stick with, really lead to massive gains in the long run. I encountered a book last year called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And I was reading that book just thinking like this is it. This is the key, whether it's health and fitness, whether it's, just being a better parent outside of health and fitness, whether it's being a better employee. It's really just about not trying to make this whirlwind life-altering change at the drop of a hat, but just start with one little habit at a time. And just using exercise as an example, if Mark, if you became a user of the app and you said you wanted to, make some kind of change, I would, probably have you start off with just one small exercise habit, one small nutrition habit. I wouldn't tell you to get on keto or Atkins or start intermittent fasting. I would just have you make one small change at a time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now to have, and you've probably seen her on a couple of the shows and everything, a guest that's very much into the nutritional aspect, and she's a nutritional coach and all of that. How important is it, do you think, for those to work together, the nutritional coach and the fitness coach, and how can they work together? Because, like I said, I know that Cara Okor is very much about nutrition and is definitely about the nutrition aspect, but you're on the physical training aspect of the coaching. So I'd love to know your thoughts as to how they should and could work together.
Yeah, honestly, it's pretty much pointless to engage in exercise without having the nutrition in place. So if we're talking about, physique, a lot of people are interested in, losing some body fat or gaining some muscle definition, whether you want to lose fat, whether you want to build muscle. And I learned this through my own personal experience over the last few years. 60% nutrition, 30% exercise, and then just 10% just kind of being mentally tough, having a good mindful approach. Because for years and years I was just kind of a naturally thin, lean guy, which is not a bad thing per se, but I always, being really interested in athletics, it was I always wanted to kind of be a little bit bigger and stronger and more muscular. And I was only focusing for many years on exercise. I would lift and lift and lift like crazy. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't see a lot of results from it. But when I finally started to teach myself more about nutrition, I saw the change in just a matter of a few months. I actually had kind of a 10-pound muscle transformation when I finally started to incorporate the nutrition aspect in addition to the fitness. So that was a pretty rewarding experience, and another thing that inspired me to say, hey, if I can learn something that simple and help myself that much, how many people could I help by teaching that?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know one of the other things that I've always been really interested in is, well, I'm part of a dance group that's not like a dance group like going out and performing, but they're part of like a dance Facebook group or World Wide Web group and everything called Daybreakers. They do those dance parties and everything of that nature. They got people of all ages, all body sizes, all everything else. But in addition to the dance, they're very much involved with the mindfulness stuff, and they will have sometimes people doing yoga and things of that nature. I'm oftentimes really impressed, but also somewhat scared of that yoga because even though it seems like an easy physical exercise, a lot of that can be very physically draining and everything along those lines. So I was just wondering, do you try to do like they do? Because I know when I've mentioned that to those yoga instructors, they're like, you can start off with the chair yoga and work your way up to the more, got your legs around your knee kind of yoga, that's the more strenuous kind of things. I was wondering, is your program similar where you try to get people where they are at and then work them up to a better place? So like if you can only jog, and I'd probably be good if I jogged a mile without getting winded, you would have that person jog a mile and then work themselves up to like 5 miles or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. That is, I think, what really separates me from some of those programs we were mentioning earlier about, if you buy a set of DVDs and you put them in the DVD player, if you can't do the workout, then you're just kind of stuck, figure it out. But with me, if somebody got onto my platform and we were talking about it and we thought, hey, you know what, maybe you're not quite ready for this program. Essentially, yeah, I would find a program, I would make a program that fit, where they were at. And we might start off with something just like, hey, yeah, cover a mile, jog as much of it as you can, walk what you can't, jog, and just start something like that. We might say, okay, lift some weights, but you're not very strong right now, so let's just get 5 and 10 pound dumbbells if you have to. Actually, one of my dreams that I think I'm going to be closing in on soon is to train someone to do their very first pull up or push up. So someone who can't do a full body weight push up, start from their knees, lean against the wall, whatever they got to do, and actually get them to their first push up. Because it's just such a monumental thing, I think, for their mindset to go from, well, I'm not a fit person, it's not for me, I can't even do a push up, to just, they can work at it for a few weeks on a routine that I would give them, and then they'd be doing one. So, so far, no one that I'm working with, I'm working with a few people who are working toward getting to a pull up. So I think that'll be pretty cool.
That'd be real cool. And how are you going to get to people that are also, because I know one of the other things that happens sometimes within the exercise world is you got folks that are very much obligated or interested in doing the exercise. I know that just about every year it's everybody's favorite goal for their New Year's resolution is to do more exercise, lose weight, and do a number of those other things that they say they're going to do, or even improve their diets and things of that nature. But I can't tell you how many times I've run across people, and I know I've even been guilty of it, where you go out for that exercise. Like I know that I would sometimes go, there's a park near here, like a little small mini park, and I'd go walk around that park, enjoy my walk, enjoy my exercise, and then I'd walk right by the restaurants. And of course, I'd have to stop and get some food that was probably not necessarily healthy because it wasn't quite fast, super fast food, but it might be a sub place or something else that wasn't exactly going to be beneficial to what I just did. So like I said, I know there are a number of times that you have those pull and pushes going against you. So when you're dealing with your clients, how do you deal with that, and how do you encourage them to maybe not necessarily get the big burger and everything after they're done exercising with you, and stick with a salad or stick with something that might be a little bit more nutritionally balanced and a little bit more in line with the exercises that they just finished?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of techniques for that. And so there was just a client today who I had previously recommended a secondary app to accompany the workouts he was doing through my app and through the nutrition plan. Because I didn't mention that yet, but there is a nutrition guide and a meal plan included in the app. So it kind of gives you some guidance on what to eat. But he was having a little trouble logging the stuff because he just, it takes some time to kind of log what you're eating and stuff. So that was the first thing I suggested was, hey, Alex, why don't you use this other app called MyFitnessPal, and you can put what you're eating in, and it'll help count your calories and your macronutrients, your carbs, your proteins, your fats, and we can kind of adjust those and keep those in balance. And he was just struggling to make a habit out of that. And so then the next thing I suggested was, hey, this is simpler. If you will just take a picture of everything that you're going to eat before you eat it. Because if you're about to eat something really bad and you've got to just pull out your phone and take a quick picture, it doesn't take too long, but there's a split second for your brain to say, is this really what I should eat right now? Right. So we're going to try that with him and see how that works. But the other two things that are really important are kind of making it fun. So gamifying it and making yourself accountable. And the ways I do that is there's a closed Facebook group for the Badass Dad clients. And, there's competitions, about completing the most workouts, eating the best nutrition, following through on their plan the best. And there's also accountability. Once you put your plan in there and tell people what your goals are and what you're going to do to achieve them, that's what the group is there for, that group mentality to, with love, to call you out if they have to, if you're not doing what you had committed to. So we all kind of pick each other up in that way.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I was interested in, that's why I got that look on my face and everything about the gamify aspect of even the exercise program. Because I know one of the other shows that we do here on the platform is the Gamers Den, which is about the video game industry. But the gentleman, Jacoby McDuffie, that does that along with myself and others, that's part of what he talks about is the way that gamification hits all aspects of our society. And you used a perfect example of that, because it seems like gamification is something that you even use within the fitness world. So I'd love you to hear a little bit more of that conversation as well.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about competitions are that, when you're, competing in a group of, let's say, 10 people, you'll actually get a positive boost from the people who are behind you, because you'll say, hey, I'm not in the lead, but, I'm ahead of a few people. And you'll get a positive boost from the people who are ahead of you, because you'll say, man, if I can work just a little harder, I'll catch up to that person. So it's really good on both sides to have some competition.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That competition aspect is very much important in all of that. How can folks learn about the app, and how can they actually get the app? Where is the Gap app located if folks are interested in learning more about what you're doing and how they can even get personally involved?
Yeah, so there's a few things they can do. The first thing they should do is to connect with me on Facebook. And so it's Jeff Prather. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And if you happen to stumble across multiple Jeff Prathers in Nashville, Tennessee, my Facebook background picture is of the Grand Canyon, and then the circular profile picture in that is myself wearing sunglasses, and my wife is in a red Georgia headband. We're big travelers, so we always like to travel, make GoPro videos, and take pictures of our travel. So yeah, if they connect with me on my Facebook profile, there is a link in my profile. It's bit.ly/badassdad. So when they click that, that's actually going to take them to a really brief, probably 2-minute questionnaire with 10 questions, just so they can kind of tell me a little bit about them. And then at the end of that questionnaire, there's going to be a button they click that'll just say, it'll help them to schedule a call on my calendar. So then we meet face to face on a Zoom call. And I recommend they do those 2 steps before just going to the app. They don't have to, it's not mandatory, but the reason is they can go to badassdad.passion.io. And Mark, let me know if I need to put this in the chat, or we can throw it in the show notes, because I know it's going to be hard for people to remember if I just say it once.
You put it in the chat, and I can write it in, and I can create a banner out of it. But yeah, you do that.
I'll throw that in
would
the
be
chat
great
here in a second. So the app is actually located in 2 places. It's located in the Apple App Store, and I've been getting so many requests lately for an Android version that I have worked with my developer to get to work on that. It's in process. But for someone who just wants to use the program on their laptop or in web version, or if they're an Android user, it's badassdad.passion.io. You can read some details about what's included. And then the monthly price to sign up, whether it's through the website or through the app, is $25, but there's a 7-day free trial. And so the reason I was recommending they reach out to me and connect with me on Facebook and fill out my new client application form and set up the call is because, once their free trial starts, they're not going to be charged until the 7 days is up. But I would like for them to get all those things done in the free trial period, so they're really committed. It's really something they want to do. They've filled out my application. They've talked with me on a Zoom call. They're interested in the plan. And that's just the best thing that I think they can do.
That makes sense. What's one of the biggest, or what are several of the biggest myths that you think people have about their fitness plans, their needs for fitness plans, or just fitness in general? So, like I said, you've been involved in the business now for a while. So what are some of the biggest myths that you've heard that you would like to be shattered? Because I know there are several of them in all industries, and I'm sure fitness has its as well.
So I think that people don't have enough time is a big one. And I could be a big testament to that. I've mentioned to you that I've got, a demanding, 8 or 9 hour a day job. I work on, the Badass Dad app in addition to that. And so I'm hard at work, and I still manage to get my fitness in. So not having enough time is honestly a matter of priorities. And, one of the best ways is just to, anything that you really have to get done in a day needs to be the first thing you do that day. That way there's nothing else pops up in your day, because anything that waits till the evening, working out after work is like nearly impossible. You basically have to be a superhuman to stick to an after work workout routine. I mean, you're mentally and physically exhausted from your day at that point. So if not first thing in the morning, then at lunch is actually where I prefer to work out. It kind of gives me a boost. It's like a cup of coffee, basically, if you get that little workout in. So not having enough time is a big myth. And that it's, I think a lot of people just see it as a chore. I hashtag on Facebook a lot with, make fitness fun or keep fitness fun. Right now, my favorite is rock climbing. And it's one of those things where you don't realize how good of a workout you're getting, because, you know, I'm just having such a blast doing it. And I was scared of heights when I got into it. So don't let that be an obstacle to people if you want to consider getting into rock climbing. But I love that. Love to lift weights. And yeah, there's definitely ways. Just connect with me and we'll figure out a way to make it fun. So it's not just a chore.
Sounds great. And how long do you think? Because you know they talk about, and I've heard different quotes. Some people say 8 hours, some people say 6 hours, in terms of maximum amount of sleep and everything of that nature. But how many hours do you think the average person should try to put in their exercise? Because I've heard some people that try to do like maybe an hour workout, an hour and a half. Now, some of that seems like that might be a little bit on the extreme. But I was just wondering, from your mindset, what do you think is the ideal time that folks should put into their 24-hour day into using part of that for exercise?
So I believe in frequency and consistency more than intensity and duration. I think you can build your intensity and duration over time. Frequency and consistency build habits. So that's why, you know, coming back to that busy dad concept for a minute, there are techniques that I'm learning about to kind of get the most out of your exercise. And just to kind of give you a peek behind that curtain really quickly, basically, there are some studies that suggest if you work out right before you eat for at least 5 minutes, that it will basically cause chemical releases that cause the calories you consume to be preferentially built into muscle tissue as opposed to other tissue in your body. And then you do the same thing 90 minutes after. And for busy dads in particular, the reason that's a really good program as well is because another thing we don't do well enough as working people, not just dads, is we sit at our computers for too long. So if you commit to working out 3 to 4 times a day for only 5 minutes at a time. So the short answer that I'm building up to is about 20 minutes, Mark. But the specifics of it are that if you work out on those 2 intervals, so maybe right before breakfast for 5 minutes, then an hour and a half later for 5 minutes, right before lunch for 5 minutes, an hour and a half later for 5 minutes. The other added benefit is that you de-stress and relax the tension in your body that you get from sitting in a seated position and staring at your computer screen all day. So that's another thing that we just all don't do enough is every 1 to 2 hours. You shouldn't really go more than 2 hours without getting up from your computer, walking around for 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I try to do that on a regular basis, even when I'm doing one of my other jobs, which is grading test papers using this computer and everything. But yeah, I find myself sometimes having to get up and stretch if it ain't nothing but just walking around the apartment complex and things of that nature just to get some stretching and some circulation going, because you don't want to just have that tension in your body. Because definitely I agree with you on that. And you're talking about, I know a lot of times folks don't even think about exercise till something happens to them, and they can't, and they're almost forced to do the exercise because of whatever happened to them and carried them to the hospital, and then they have to go through the physical therapy, which is rigorous exercise of one sort or another. Because I know I've had a number of friends that have had that kind of life experience. So then after they got that going, then they started doing more exercise and all of that. And then there are folks that do some exercises that I don't even know that they realize how much they're exercising, because I've got some friends that are into golfing and things of that nature. And I'm sitting there going like, that's a whole lot of walking. So y'all are actually probably doing more exercising than you think that you're doing when you're playing that game of golf. I know that when I've tried it, I've only been able to get to the putt-putt course. So I'm horrible at golf, but I do think that it is a great form of exercise, kind of like your rock climbing and everything.
Yeah, and to your point about exercising as recovery as opposed to preventatively, that's nowhere is that more true than with mobility or stretching exercises. So I like to think of my program as a well-rounded and multidisciplinary program, meaning there is weightlifting, so strength training, there is cardio, there is probably the single most important thing anyone could start with is a 5 to 10 minute morning stretching routine. I don't hardly know any men that don't have some form of back pain, lower back, neck, shoulders. And if you can get onto a good stretching routine, it'll knock that right out and be a game changer in just a few days, actually.
And what's the, I had another question that raises, what's one of the exercise or things that you're hoping to do that you haven't accomplished yet? I know that everybody has their exercise goals. I've got some friends that have, run marathons or mini marathons. I've got some that have done some of the, the multi genre type of exercises. So it might be, I forget what they're called, but part run, part
Oh,
swim,
like a
part
triathlon
bicycling,
or an Ironman.
or Ironman, those kind of things, or the mud. I think one had mud in the title and everything. 'Cause
Tough Mudder,
I know my
yeah,
brother
yeah.
tried that a
Spartan
couple of times. And
race.
yes, but what are some of the goals that you set for yourself? Because I know my brother attempted 2 of those, and both of those times he broke some part of his body. So I think me and the rest of the family decided that he never needed to try those ever again. And I think he's pretty much agreed that he will do other forms of exercising, but he won't be attempting any of those kinds of races.
So a Spartan race would be pretty cool. It's not on my calendar yet. For actually kind of the reason you mentioned is that is just that I have actually, just growing up playing sports, suffered a few more severe injuries, torn ACL and a torn labrum in my shoulder, and the rehab from that, the amount that it sets you back is really no fun. So the 2 tenets actually of fitness are 1, avoid injury, 2, get more fit, and never put 2 before 1. So I try to not do anything that is so intense that I'm going to actually end up hurting myself and setting myself back. That said, I would definitely give a Spartan race a try. Right now I'm climbing and really making some really good gains there. So this probably won't mean anything to most people, but I'm hoping to break in to be able to climb routes that are graded 5.12 or higher in the next few months here. That would be great.
That sounds like that could be amazing and everything. Now, are there other things that you're doing in addition to the rock climbing? Like, I know that I had some friends that were very much, including my dad, into their bicycling and things of that nature. So outside of the more, I guess, traditional calisthenic type of exercises, which is a lot of what you've been describing, are there other forms of exercise that you're really big into other than the calisthenics and the weights? Because I do know of some folks that have been into bicycling and some of the other things that they find to be great for their exercise. But I was just wondering about you, Jeff. Are there any things that you get into similar to that?
I love to jog, but not as a. It's almost like a mental escape. I can just go on a 3-mile run at a comfortable pace, and my body's running on autopilot, and my mind can just kind of do whatever it needs to do. It's almost meditative, you would say, to just go on a jog maybe once a week or so.
Wow, definitely. Those jogs can definitely be very reflective. I know that even that place I was talking about where I do it goes on the walk, and sometimes there might be partially a run because sometimes it's a walk, jog, as you were describing the early parts of exercise. And I remember a lot of times when I went on those, it was very reflective and a very much of a reflective time and everything. And I think that that's what exercise is in general, is a time to get some into your own head in addition to trying to get physically fit and all of that. But I do know that sometimes folks get a little bit very much concerned about whatever their ideal weight is and all of that. As a person in exercise, do you think that that's something that we should be worrying about? Because I do know a lot of times folks will get hung up on wanting to get to a certain weight, feeling that that's the ideal weight according to whatever standards society has put out there.
So no, I think we should kind of forget about that, at least, especially with daily weigh-ins, or even as frequently as weekly is too often. It's okay to have a goal to lose a certain amount of weight. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. But what's actually a lot more effective is to take your results goal and turn it into an identity goal. And I did this with a client of mine, David Rogers, and we actually got him. So he had started on his own and he was trying really hard. He had some big goals and some really big important reasons for those goals. And he was a dad of 3 kids. 290 pounds is where he started. He got to 280 on his own, and then it was a plateau. He just could not, and he was yo-yoing, back up and down, and couldn't break it. And so when we had our first session, I just said, hey, I know you want to lose all this weight, but think more about the person that you want to be. Like, why is it you want to lose the weight? What's the reason behind that? And it came out that, hey, he wanted to, and this is actually partially where Badass Dad was formed. He actually had a lot to do with it, because at that time, I was operating under the brand of Get Fit Slow, as in just take things slow, get fit at your own pace. which is still a brand I operate under a little bit. But so he just wanted to be an active dad, a fit dad, a dad who was there and could play with his kids, and he wanted his back to stop hurting. And so I just said, okay, think about that person, think about future David, think about badass David, and think about the decisions he made to get where he is, and make your decisions like he made his. And that made all the difference for him. That, and then just a few tweaks to how he was doing his exercise. We just changed how he was exercising a little bit, but really the mindset shift was the big thing. And he busted right through the plateau. And so today he's actually in the 200 and teens, maybe around 215 or 216, from 280 pounds when we started. And he loves his fitness routine now. He loves it.
Speaking of fitness routines, I know there was a time, and I don't know what your thoughts are about these, but there was also a lot of those fitness apps that were trying to like monitor people. I'm thinking about like Fitbit and a number of the other ones that were out there. They would monitor them based on what they were wearing on their wrist and things of that nature. Is yours similar? And also, do you think that those are very effective? Because I know a lot of folks were getting those, whether it was on their ankles or their wrists or whatever, trying to monitor their amount of steps in their walk, or monitoring different other things, sometimes their heart rhythm, a number of other things that they were monitoring using those apps. But I was just wondering your thoughts on those and whether they're effective.
So I don't personally use anything like that. I'm kind of a highly motivated self-starter, but I've gotten mixed reviews from other people. I've heard a handful of people say that, yeah, it helped them, because what they can do is they can really trigger some of the major components of habit changes. So those components are, make it obvious. So you kind of need a reminder so you don't forget to do something. Make it, attractive. So that's kind of where gamification comes in. If you're competing to win, it kind of becomes more attractive. Making it easy. It's just, making something easy is just as simple as like, oh, I can work out at home because that's what I don't have to get in the car and take 20 minutes to drive to the gym. And then making it satisfying when those things give you the feedback saying that you burn so many calories or walk so many steps or, won a competition against your peers. It makes it satisfying. So yeah, I think there is some value in those. They're not mandatory. And what I'll say for people who aren't big fans of those, because even though those are trying to optimize your nutrition and optimize your exercise, really what's most important is the plan that you can stick to is better than the perfect plan that you can't stick to. So what I left out one word there, the mediocre plan that you can stick to is better than the perfect plan that you can't stick to. So, you don't have to go to the nth degree to make your plan so rigorous and so tough, because if you're going to burn out, what's the point?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You definitely don't want to burn yourself out. And I think that a lot of times folks do have that habit of burning themselves out and not necessarily doing as they should be doing and all of that. Are you thinking that in terms, because this is the international broadcast media that we air on in addition to some of the other platforms and everything, how do you think that we do in terms of exercise versus other aspects of or other parts of the world? Because like I said, we've got folks that are watching and listening. As a matter of fact, you might have seen that one gentleman that was commenting, and he's out of Nigeria, but I know we also have folks out of Australia, South Africa, India, and all over the world. But I know that usually America is seen as being very much about exercise, but there might be other parts of the world that are actually more effective about their exercise. But as a society, how do you think we're doing, and how do you think we're doing on a global level in terms of being correct about our physical fitness habits?
Well, so we definitely have an obesity problem in America, and it's not really surprising when you look at what's out there. It's absolutely infuriating to myself even when there's all this conflicting advice out there. How do you know what is the real good health advice? Avoid fats. No, avoid carbs. No, avoid this. You have to work out, super hard for an hour a day every day. No, you can just jog. Oh, wait, no, jogging doesn't really burn belly fat. It's all out there, and it's all just overwhelming. It's all noise. It's all confusing. So that's why, I've pretty much been there, done that, tried it all, made my program out of what works, throughout what doesn't work, tried to sift through some of that noise for people. But as far as how we compare, the fitness industry is huge over here, but I would say other countries, especially European countries, are a lot more effective. Just based on, I want to say it probably starts with their diets. If you just walk around, and I don't know if I mentioned this already, but my wife and I are big travelers. We love to travel. Haven't been able to with COVID, but through the places we've been, I mean, it's kind of night and day when you're at restaurants, at the beach, in the cities of foreign countries. Just the amount of people who are the proportion of people who are thin is much higher than the proportion of people who are thin in the United States. But that's another thing that kind of drives me. It's like, it kind of feels like it's not anyone's fault over here per se, other than the fitness industry itself with all of the misinformation. There's this kind of mantra of complicating things to make a profit. If you make it seem big and scary and complicated, then people have to pay all this money to buy all this equipment and all these diet plans, when it's really fairly simple and just finding a plan that you can enjoy and you can stick to.
And I know one of the other things that I've noticed, and I was just wondering your thoughts about this, is there was a time, and I know there have been different presidents that have made fitness very much an aspect of even their platforms and everything. But I don't know that we're seeing enough of that. So I was wondering, do you feel that our school systems are even doing enough with fitness? I know that there's been a number of other things that folks have felt that they've dropped off on, like the arts and even like some vocational fields. But I would argue that they probably even dropped off to some degree on the fitness aspect of schooling. But I was wondering your thoughts.
No, you nailed it. Recess is 15 minutes. PE may or may not exist. And then within PE, you're not really actually learning anything in general, at least not, I don't recall really being taught, a lot about what exercise does and how to eat properly. So yeah, and in fact, I would actually love in a future project to grow large enough to where I can have some employees who will essentially work in schools to be like an outsourced true physical education. Make it fun, but make it to where the kids actually learn something they can take with them throughout their lives. So that's just this little idea that kind of percolates in the back of my head from time to time that I really hope that I'll get around to one day.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any other fitness goals that you have for yourself and your company in terms of both personally and professionally? So are there any goals that you have for the company itself, as well as any that are immediate that you have for yourself on the fitness level?
For myself, my goal is really about, sticking to a plan that I set out for myself. So I kind of have, and that's another really important thing that I'd like to share with people is that, having your plan in your head isn't really good enough. You kind of need to see it written out, and that really is a thing that helps you stick to it. So as I look at my written out plan, each day that I carry it out, is a success. And the reason I went to that kind of model was because I used to look at it as like, well, I've got to, improve my abs and, have a really great six pack, and I've got to get, biceps of a certain size, and I've got to get this and got to get that. The problem about looking at it like that is you're not happy till you achieve it. So you're toiling all this while to achieve this goal and making yourself unhappy. And really, what's the point in that? So and this is I referenced James Clear in his book Atomic Habits earlier. So where I really pulled that from is just think about the person you want to be, make a plan that's going to get you there, and each day you carry out your plan, you're a success. So just kind of take it day by day like that is really how I think about goals. And as far as for the company, I would really like to have 100 users in 2021. So before the end of 2021, I would love to have 100 users. And on that point, I did just want to give a fair heads up to all those people who are listening that right now, my goal is to always keep the app affordable. So in comparison to getting a personal trainer at a gym from $400 to $700 a month, you see that person twice a week. With the app, I mentioned that it's only $25 a month right now. Once I sign up 10 more clients, I am going to climb it to $50 a month because it's still a very reasonable and very affordable price for personal training as compared to what you'll get in a gym. And it's 24/7, 365 access to the on-demand workouts and access to my calendar so we can go through your plan one-on-one. And basically, as I continue to add users, I think the ideal and fair price range ultimately by the end of the year is probably about $100 a month for for personal training. It's still a quarter of what it costs to get it through a trainer in the gym, and I can help a lot of people that way. But so right now, until I have 10 more people sign up at $25 a month. So if there's anybody who's kind of on the fence about it, thinking about it, I would definitely go ahead and go sign up sooner rather than later. And again, the first 7 days is a free trial. You don't get charged until the trial period's over, when you go to badassdad.passion.io and sign up for the plan.
And you mentioned personal trainers and everything. I was just wondering, because sometimes folks will feel that they don't need a personal trainer, just like sometimes folks don't think that they need a leadership coach or any of the other kind of business coaches. Why do you think it is important for folks to have a personal trainer? And because a lot of folks feel that they can, go to the gym, whether it's an apartment complex gym or whether it's a more traditional, like one of the corporate gyms and everything, and do it on their own without having the trainer, that they can just do it out on their own. So I was just wondering, for those that are thinking that, why do you think it's important for people to engage with a trainer, and whether it's you or whether it's somebody else?
Yeah, so I had a big revelation as regards to that somewhat recently, within the last couple of years. Sought out to help myself get off the ground with training some business coaches to help me with the business side of things. And I was, a little unsure about coaching before that. But what I realized is, no matter who you are, no matter how much you know, there's someone else out there who knows more and can help you out. Perspective will help you out. So I actually twice a week train with a friend of mine here in town, and I post about it on social, our workouts, because I get these phenomenal workouts. He's a strength coach, John Baldwin, over at Strength Camp Nashville. And I work with him twice a week, just because there's that extra added benefit, the accountability to show up at the workout. You don't skip any sets, you don't skip any reps, because there's kind of someone there watching you, pushing you, someone you're competing with. And yeah, so if someone thinks that they can, just go to their apartment gym or the local gym or work out in the living room, technically they're right. They could do that. But if they're not currently in shape and they're older than 20 years old, then they've had a few years to try it and it hasn't worked out for them yet. So Einstein would say that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So, I would say, why not try something new and get a trainer? And to cap that off, I think, even if you know what exercises to do, that accountability group and that gamification through the competition are big motivating factors to stick with a habit.
Now, that makes a lot of sense, and definitely got to have that accountability. Get ready to wind things down very shortly and everything. But one of the things I was getting ready to ask you is, a lot of times, and I know it's more with the women, but I think guys are just as guilty sometimes of doing it as well. But what do you say to the folks that are also trying to get their exercise because they want to get to a certain body type, and they may never be even able to get to that certain body type? I don't know that everybody's going to have the abs of steel, or that every woman is necessarily going to be looking like Halle Berry or looking like whatever your personal model of beauty is, and everything of that nature and everything. So I just wondered, in terms of being realistic about looking for whatever folks are looking for, because I know everybody wants the six pack, or not the six pack, but you know what I'm talking about, but they want that kind of style and everything. So what about folks that have to be realistic in terms of what they're looking for? Because as you get older, you're not necessarily going to get that structured body that you're looking for.
Well, where the realism really comes in? The realism really comes in why do you want what you think you want, and how bad do you want it? Because I would actually say that, any physique is achievable if you're willing to do what it takes to get there. Right. Now, people will go to unhealthy lengths to get to certain physiques, and that's not a good thing. So yeah, I think it is important to be realistic about, is it really important to get that, like the cover model? I call it the Bowflex body, because as a teenager growing up in sports, that's kind of what I always aspire to, is just getting totally completely ripped, and for that's not really that important to get to that level of fitness for everyone. Now, if I had a client who wanted to get there, I wouldn't discourage them. We'd have an honest conversation about what it takes to get there, and why, I personally, while I'm in really good shape today, I don't aspire to quite that high of a level of fitness today is because it's really important to still enjoy life, to be able to consume alcohol, to be able to consume a dessert, to be able to, just live it up a little bit from time to time, within reason, within certain bounds. So for me, I found my own balance, and I think that's what everyone should do, is find their own balance of how fit do you want to get, how fit do you really need to get, where is it important? Let's get you to a healthy level, and then worry about the next steps from there, what sacrifices you're willing to make, and are those sacrifices worth it?
Yep, that makes a lot of sense and everything. One of the things I try to get all my guests to do as I wind the show down is to give any words of encouragement or any words of positivity that they would like to leave to our international audience. So as I'm getting to wind down and everything, I'll bring up some of the shows that also exist here on the platform. But any words of encouragement and words of positivity that you would like to share with our worldwide audience, I'm sure that they would love to hear it. And I've definitely thoroughly enjoyed our hour-long conversation. So definitely have enjoyed us talking, and would definitely hoping to look up and have more conversations, and know that you're always welcome to come back and share both your journey as well as the journeys of folks that have gone through the program that you have out there and everything. You've mentioned 2 of them during the course of this show, but any other journeys that you want to share, you're always welcome to come back. But definitely, I would love to hear any words of positivity and words of encouragement that you would like to share with our audience.
What I'll find from time to time is usually just one short quote that really sticks in my head and really helps me to push through the tough times. Because, believe me when I say that this journey is so much harder than I thought it would be, to reach out through social media, to build a fitness platform for dads, to learn all the things I had to learn to do this. It's been really challenging. I would not have accomplished it if I didn't have such a strong passion for it. So this quote that I keep and look at, every single day is by Babe Ruth, and he said, "It's hard to beat a man who never gives up." So no matter how good or bad of a day I've had, I just make sure to never give up. I can't fail at what I'm doing until the point where I give up. And that applies to fitness too. I'll teach that to every student that I have. If you're having a bad day and your workout wasn't any good today, or you missed your workout yesterday, just don't let it derail you. Just don't give up. Just get right back on the horse as soon as you possibly can.
Sounds great. One of the other things I was going to do, just as popped into my mind and everything, was you've mentioned him a couple of times, and I know I'm a big fan of my dad, and I know that Mother's Day is coming up in May, but Father's Day is coming up in June. So if you want to give a shout out, even though it's months ahead of time, to your dad, as well as to what he meant to you, because it definitely seems like he meant a lot to you, even though you don't have any kids of your own. It definitely seems like your dad played an important role in your life. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to give a shout out to your dad, because I'm always giving a shout out to my dad, Mr. Jim Lee, who is an artist and an entrepreneur of some degree, as well as an activist here in our community. But if you want to give a shout out to your dad, I would love to have you have this opportunity to do exactly that.
Yeah, my dad, Greg Prather, he showed me what it meant to put family first. He did whatever he had to do career-wise to make sure that he was off work at all my football games going up through high school. And in fact, one day he ruined his video camera when I threw a overtime touchdown pass to beat a much better football team. We somehow hung in the game, and I threw a touchdown pass in overtime. We won the game, and that was the end of his camera because he celebrated so hard. So that's how much he cared.
Yeah, that's definitely great when they care that much that they sit there and sacrifice things like even the video camera. I'm sure he probably threw it up in the air, and next thing you know, it was shattered to pieces and everything.
Yeah, it was going down the bleachers.
Going down the bleachers, and well, that definitely shows you how much he cared and all of that. Did you do any playing on the college level, or was it only on the high school level? Because I know that the University of Georgia is a very powerful team and everything.
Yeah,
so
they were much above my level. I wasn't at a level where I could compete, and so I had to make a choice. And in hindsight, I really believe was the right one. Coming out of high school, I needed to go to a small school to continue to play football, or I could go to a big school with strong academics and just enjoy sports on an intramural level. And so I went with the big school with the strong academics, and it's paid off.
Sounds like a great opportunity for you. Sounds like the business is taking off as well. Glad that I met you through the internet platform and everything. And definitely I'll put back on the banner one more time where folks can reach you and all of that. So get ready to put that up. So definitely want folks to follow you, as well as definitely go to the website and all of that. But definitely I appreciate you joining us here. And like I said, I'm going to bring up some of the ads of some of our other shows that exist here, and then bring out a couple of the clues for my mystery guests who will appear next week, because I'm going to pull them up next week at the beginning of the show and all of that. But do appreciate you for being on and all of that. So thanks once again for joining us here, and look forward to seeing you in the near future. Like I said, I'm going to bring up one of the games called Gamers Den, which will be on tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock. And that's the show that I'm involved in along with my good friend, Jatovia McDuffie. And this is a little bit about that show and when it airs.
Hey, have another.
So we're going to do things a little bit differently. You know, I like to add twists with the mystery guests. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to give you some clues, and y'all have a whole week to try to come together with who these people might be and all of that. So you need to email me, though, because I'm going to go with the first person to respond with the answers and all of that. So I'm going to give you 3 clues, or maybe a couple of more, and then y'all have to give me the answers. If I don't hear any answers back, then I'm going to assume that I need to reveal more clues on next week's edition of the online dinner party and all of that. So I'm here to give you a couple of clues about our various mystery guests and all of that. And then y'all need to be emailing me. And I want you to email me with this email address. You need to send the email of the people that you think it is to bluesradio@gmail.com. On the subject line, I need you to say Online Dinner Party March 3rd edition. That's Online Dinner Party March 3rd edition mystery guest. And you can try to guess which one of these folks it is. So I'm going to give you, I think, 3 or 4 clues on each one. The first one says, the moment anyone tries to demean or degrade you in any way, you have to know how great you are. Nobody would bother to beat you down if you were not a threat. So that is one of the clues of that particular person as well. So definitely keep that in mind. So, and then this other one is very important. She applied for a position at the Polish University of Krakow. However, being a woman, she was denied. And she also said, we must not forget that when the platinum with radium was discovered, no one knew that it would prove useful in hospitals. The work was one of pure science, and this is proof that scientific work must not be considered from the point of view of the direct usefulness of it. It must be done for itself, for the beauty of science, and then there's always the chance that a scientific discovery may become, like the radium, a benefit for humanity. They also said, life is not easy for any of us. Oops, wait, I went too far. So we got to go back and find that thing about life and all of that and give you some more clues in that regards, because I think I was moving a little bit too fast. So so definitely go back and see what they said. So let's go with this one instead. Nothing in life is to be feared, is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. Be less curious about people and more curious about ideas. And I was taught that the ways of progress was neither swift nor easy. And there are statistic scientists who hurry to hunt down errors instead of establishing the truth. And I am one of those who think, like Nobel, that humanity will draw more good than evil from new discoveries. So, got some of the quotes about that particular person and all of that. So, like I said, I'm going to give you a few of these from each category, and hopefully, y'all will be able to figure out who these people are. And I'll come back with some more as well. But this particular person, her childhood wasn't an easy one. Her stepfather was repeatedly abusive to her, and definitely that's not a good thing either. And eventually, to escape the violence, she moved to Harlem to live with her aunt. While she had been a great student when she was younger, it was following that move that her dedication to education faltered. But she found ways to fill out her days. She not all of them were legal. According to the New York Times, she worked for a mafia numbers runner and served as a police lookout at a local brothel. So definitely that's some of the things that this particular person did. In the early 1930s, she was able to make a little pocket change from the tips she made from passerbys while singing on the streets of Harlem. In 1934, she finally got the chance to step onto a real stage. She took part at the on an amateur night at the Apollo Theater on November 31st, 1934. It was her stage debut. And then 17, she sang her renditions of Judy and the Object of My Affection and won $25. So that's a little bit about that person. So I've given you the clues on two of the people, and now I'm getting ready to reveal clues on the other person as well. And then we're going to get on out of here and see what else is going on. She and Stanton formed one of the most formidable partnerships in women's rights activism in American history. The two women spent hours and hours of their day with each other, planning and strategizing. They also had complementary skills and abilities, which helped them to go down as America's most influential crusaders of women's rights. Remember, this is Women's History Month, so a lot of the guests on this particular month will be women that I'll be focusing on. Stanton once likened her relationship to that of the Greek mythical being Zeus and the Cyclops. She stated that I forged the thunderbolts, she fired them. That's a great quote. She forged the thunderbolts, I fired them. And their relationship of over 50 years soured slightly, and both started to grow apart because of different views and all of that. So, and as a jewel of the women suffrage movements, she was buried at Mount Hope Cemetery, Rochester. She never got married. And she has some great quotes. She says, I stand and rejoice every time I see a woman ride by on a wheel. Women, we might as well be dogs, ban the moon as petitioners without the right to vote. So that's one of the things she said about that. And she also said, and she might be thinking about this to this day, join the union, girls, and together say equal pay for equal work. And she said, no man is good enough to govern any woman without her consent. And also another quote was, failure is impossible. So once again, I want you to go to the email, bluesradio@gmail.com. You want to put down online dinner party, March 3rd, 2021, mystery guest. And as the person that figures out the mystery guest, then you will get a chance to be the winner of this particular prize. And I'll reveal the mystery guest next week along with more clues. But that is the clues of our mystery guest. I'm going to get on out of here. I thought it was a good show. We had a lot of good conversation. We heard from Fran Harris. We heard some good music. And then we got to hear from a gentleman that was involved in the exercise field. So definitely it was great seeing a number of folks involved and all of that. So great to see that. And I also see that folks are saying way to go. And I'm glad to see them enjoying the show and all of that. So on that note, I'm getting to get on out of here with that lovely airplane that we get out of here with. I'll see if I want to get out with anything else, but I think we'll just get out of here with the airplane. So on that note, we're out of here, and we'll see you on Thursday on the Gamers Den. And of course, I'll be back on my regular shows on Monday, and of course, the roundtable on Sunday. But look forward to getting on out of here, and we'll catch you on next week, as well as other shows later on this week. But have a great one, and I hope that y'all enjoyed the conversation.